Coming up, as the Prime Minister hosts world leaders at a summit to try and bring peace to Ukraine. What hope have they got? I'll be speaking to Lord Darrett, UK's former ambassador to the United.
In the birthplace of democracy, disorder rules. Explosions ignite the steps of the Greek parliament. Bombs thrown by masked rioters, others launching missiles directly at police. The riot officers respond with tear gas, stun grenades and water cannons in a futile attempt to break up the ever-growing crowd.
Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. It's Sunday, which means we're going to bring you this week's top world news stories. Now, on Friday, we covered one of the greatest stories I've ever seen in my life, which would have been Zelensky's tantrum in the White House. There's, some aftermath from something like that when you take on the president of the United States and the vice president in, they went to fisticuffs. Is the old-fashioned way of saying it. Trump touched him a couple of times, kind of shoved him a little bit.
JD Vance brought out the knife hand. That's throwing down. That's throwing knives.
It's so good.
Listen here, buddy.
It's so great.
I'm getting out my knife hands.
If you guys did not see the exchange, I don't know what to tell you. You missed it. We're not playing it again today, even though I could watch it 10 times. But we're going to talk about the aftermath of that. Then we have protests breaking out in Romania and Greece.
For two very different reasons. Yeah, two different reasons. These Greeks are very upset that there was this train wreck, the most deadly train wreck in all of Greek history. You can't kill a lot of people with the on chariots, but on trains you can. 57 people died, and
that you hearken to like gladiator times?
Yeah, Greece.
That was a stretch. I had to think for a minute there what you were.
Well,
talking
I said all of history.
Okay.
Okay,
keep going.
I don't know how long they've had trains. I don't know. They say Rome was amazing, so maybe there were some trains going on.
Oh my gosh!
But 57 people died. It's a tragic incident, and to this day, they're upset because nobody has been held accountable.
That's a reasonable request.
That we'll dive into that, and then Romania is incredibly interesting.
What's going on with elections around the world?
Putting aside the Tate brothers, which I'm too mad to think about right now. There was a guy named George. I can't say his last name. He's anti EU. Think that's really good.
That's definitely how it's pronounced. It's Calacula.
Yeah, I think it's not that, but
oh no, Callan. You said George. You had it inverted.
Oh, did I?
So his name is Callan. That we can say, and the last name
Callan
is
Georgescu.
Georgescu. Georgescu.
It's just Georgescu.
Georgescu.
I think it's Georgescu. Somebody put it in the Google.
That sounds kind of French.
Well, anyways, he didn't have a lot of money when he ran. He was a right-wing populist. They call him far right. And he won the first round of elections last year.
Right.
And so the Romanian government and the EU particularly said, no, we can't have him. So you're going to have to run your elections again. Their elections are supposed to be on the 4th. And what's interesting is that the Callan went to register again to, I guess, so that he could be on the ballot. I don't know how this works, or try to get into it. It's confusing. Well, he was arrested on his way. Well, then a bunch of people protested and he was released. So now they're just like hundreds of thousands of Romanians have taken to the streets because they obviously voted for this guy to be their next president, and the EU says no. So we'll see if Romania got their elections in order and made it so that Callan can't win.
When, as of, you said the
on
4th?
The 4th, yeah.
So 2 days from now.
You know, they have to fortify
right.
all elections around the world.
100%. And here's the funny thing. I know you don't want to talk about the Tate brothers. However.
No, it's
this
fine.
Is important.
I'm
connection.
angry because they said that they were just going to go take care of family matters in the United States. Their sister is I guess, I don't know if she's an accountant or a lawyer or somebody in Kentucky who will not talk to them. Their mom is dead. I don't think their dad's dead. I think her mom's dead. Anyways, nobody's having anything to do with these kids. They have no family here that wants to talk to them.
I wasn't going to actually talk about them.
They packed 20 suitcases. They packed up their whole house. They're supposed to go back on the 24th.
They're not going back. They have no intention of going back. In the name of Jesus, they'll go back. I wasn't going to talk about the Tate brothers. I'm still in Romania. The reason I'm bringing them up is because Andrew Tate self-admittedly went there because of the intense corruption of the government.
Yes, that's true.
Meaning he could get away with all of his criminal so he thought, with all of his criminal activities because of the corruption. So when we're looking, I'm not going to say that Romania is Ukrainian level corruption, but it inches so close. So darn close. So the fact that out of all the European Union nations that may try to control an election, if I had to pick one, it would be Romania. Like, that makes sense to me that they would control this election. Now, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the people. The people are amazing. The people are definitely trying to vote in change. But it's very difficult when you have a government that has been taken over by a deep state of corruption to gain it back, you know, as we saw in 2020.
Yeah.
So we've got that.
And then I don't know how many of these we'll watch, but JD Vance mentioned there are a bunch of videos online of men in the Ukraine being conscripted
into the Ukrainian army to go to the front lines. Now, actually, you said this, I think, on Friday, and you're like, you know, I haven't seen too many of those. You've since found them. However, at the start of the Ukrainian war, we played some of those videos. So this isn't new. What I'm saying is
it's not,
them conscripting these soldiers is not a new thing. And when we say conscripting, we're not saying like you've been handed a paper that you have to come and serve. They are kidnapping.
Well, they do send out the papers, and then they go and get them.
From wherever. They can be walking down the
recruited.
street. And then what's so funny to me, and you'll see this, is the women that are with them that try to fight off the kidnapper. I'm calling them kidnappers. The kidnappers. It's quite something to behold. It is quite
something. And I've been asking people on the pro-Ukrainian side, we all understand that if Russia's the bad guy and Russia is not allowing journalists on the Russian side, okay, that's bad. We need to have full information that's going on. What is happening?
Why don't we have journalism on the Ukrainian side?
There are hundreds of thousands. It seems like there's definitely thousands of reporters in Gaza right now and in Palestine, and there is we have endless information coming out. Right. Okay. Zelensky has made it so that there can be no reporters to report, even on a pro-Ukrainian side. We don't hear from anybody. When was the last time?
Why don't they even have propaganda?
Nothing? We have nothing coming out of Ukraine. You're going to tell me that we're sending billions of dollars to somebody, and it's just because Zelensky goes around doing a little circus tour, and he will bring over some celebrities like Ben Stiller to do a little, like, you come over to our country, you see how it is, but does he take them to the front lines? Do they talk to the soldiers? this is the most, I mean, even in Vietnam, there were reporters on the ground, like telling people what was happening. That's how you had Hannah Jane, who was like, stop the war. Here's the reports coming out, right? We have no reports. So until I saw these, conscription videos, then I didn't even think that there was a war. How can we have a war if there's literally no reporting?
Even Trump and J.D. Vance in that exchange in the White House, which was just so funny, they were talking about the, thousands and thousands of Ukrainians that have died. And I'm thinking to myself,
how do you know?
But how do we know?
I don't see any
We've
bodies.
Never seen any proof of these deaths of which you speak.
I mean, I see tons of footage coming out of Gaza.
Right.
And people holding up their babies crying.
Right.
Like, I haven't seen anything. Like, where's your propaganda? I mean, we had more propaganda coming out of Iraq.
And it's ridiculous that they don't have propaganda because Zelensky is an actor. Like, why not do it? We have plenty of video from Zelensky.
Yeah.
I could AI propaganda because remember, he was on a television show where he played the president. Okay. So you could literally, AI has enough footage of his face and his acting that they could AI something. They could AI anything. Where is it? Why aren't they even lying about it? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I want to know. So I do have to do a pause here. Eric and Kelly, Freedom of Information YouTube channel is in the chat.
Oh, wow.
And it has been a very long time since they have been on, and they used to do programs regularly. And Patriot Galley brings you up from time to time, wondering where you are. And so I'm so glad to see you. They're saying hello. So I hope that all is well with you guys. Hopefully Patriot Gallery is watching right now and she can answer back, but that's super awesome to see you guys there, and I hope you're well.
Wow, we haven't seen you guys in a long time. Okay, so let's just hit some of this stuff.
I don't have any of your tabs up.
So after the row, I guess Norway, there was pressure put on Norway to not fuel the U.S. Navy. So that's taken care of. Norway vows to continue supplying fuel to U.S. Navy after companies call for boycott over Zelensky. The Norwegian government has vowed to continue supplying fuel to the United States Navy after a local oil and shipping company said it would boycott America over the recent confrontation between Trump and Zelensky. Norway's Ministry of Defense said on Sunday that the U.S. ships would continue to receive support from the Nordic nation after Norwegian marine fuel supplier Halbach Bunkers said it would cut off operations with the United States. So the U.S. and Norway maintain a close and strong defense. So that's that row is over. 64 illegal boat migrants rescued after capsizing off the Tanzanian coast. Authorities in Tanzania say 64 migrants were rescued from a boat that capsized off the country's eastern Mediterranean coast after running out of fuel. The country's National Customs Agency said in a statement that maritime patrols sent to the capsized vessel rescued 64 people of various nationalities. The rescued migrants were trying to illegally cross by boat towards the European space. And they had to be rescued. More than 30,000 migrants set sail from Libya and arrived in Italy in 2024. And this was just the latest round to need rescue. So, we will jump right into the dumpster fire.
Can you speak?
Yeah, we're going to jump right into the dumpster fire.
That was a nice save.
The UK and France will craft a coalition of the willing, Ukraine, to make a Ukraine peace plan, and they will present it to Trump, says Starmer, who, this is an amazing photograph here.
That's too close.
My heart
What is wrong with those people?
Gate him all the way. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that ahead of a Lancaster House summit on Sunday that Britain and France will work to craft a Ukraine ceasefire deal that would be presented to the United States, echoing the language of former President George Bush. The Labour Party leader said that London and Paris will seek to build a coalition of the willing to enforce a peace in Ukraine. The UK and France have already committed to sending troops. Now, this is a big deal. I don't know what's going to happen when the UK and France send troops to the Ukraine. Their front line is filled with some pretty tough guys. These are just watching some of the videos of these thugs. If Putin has thugs in his army, I don't know how the UK and the French military are going to react to that, but we'll see. They're probably not going to be on the front lines, but I'm not exactly sure what they'll actually do. We've got to find those countries in Europe that are prepared to be a bit more forward-leaning. I don't believe that one European citizen or one UK citizen needs to go and die and be injured for this, so this is kind of crazy. I'm not criticizing anyone here, but rather than move at a pace of every single member, every single country in Europe, which would be in the end quite a slow pace, I do think we got to probably get a coalition of the willing now. The British leader said that he would work with the French President Macron to craft a plan for peace, attempting to throw his weight around. Macron appeared to demand that Europeans be given a voice at the negotiation table. I think you get the voice when you have the money. You don't get to be like, hey, United States, spend all the money on this and then you make it your thing. Just do your thing. This is the weird conversation that we're having right now. The United States is not at war with Russia. Why? Because Ukraine is not a NATO nation. That's why Ukraine wants to be part of NATO, because when you go to war with one, you go to war with all, which is hilarious because Russia's like, we wanted to be part of NATO, which is hilarious because NATO was created to form this coalition around these. I don't understand all of this. I honestly, it's so crazy. NATO was supposed to be created so there would never be another world war in Europe. And Germany's back in there. So I don't understand. NATO wasn't necessarily a birthing out of just go after Russia. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because I got to tell you something. The instigator and the bad guy in World War II and World War I was Germany.
The now leader.
And now they're like the leader EU. In Europe of everything. Okay?
Which
so they won. They won. They won. Germany won.
It should tell you all you need to know about the European Union.
They won. Don't look at me and say they lost. They won. They're literally ruling right now. They're ruling.
Right.
Angela Merkel throws her little weight around like a little, I'm not going to say it. And the whole idea, remember, guys, and I got this book on IG Farben, the IG Farben guys, the chemical guys who were funding and behind the German war, it wasn't just the man with the mustache. Okay, it was a business. This was a business thing. Okay, the war was about business. It wasn't just like, oh, get rid of the Jews. Okay, that is the narrative. That is one section because it was a business move. Okay, it was about business. And those business guys at RG Farben spent a couple years in jail after the Newburn trials, and they came back and they said, you know what? We still want to conquer Europe. We're just going to go about it a different way. Let's create the EU. The EU literally is a coalition of Nazis. Point the finger back at yourself, all of you crazy people now. They've revamped it. They've tried to, we'll just be nicer Nazis this time. We'll just control with a smile on our face until it's not so fun anymore. And we'll push our weight around sobertly, not overtly. Okay? The war thing, that costs dearly. They like to keep their buildings. If we can do war without blowing each other up, let's do it that way. So that's what the EU does. Okay? The EU is a one Europe government, one world government controlling everybody's lives. That's all they ever wanted anyways. They just wanted control. They were stupid enough to think they could do it through a military means. They're like, no, let's not do it that way. Let's do it, let's strong arm people. Let's pretend to be nice. Let's pretend to be good people.
Barry says, without Trump, it's not going to happen. He says these troops are for a peacemaking force sanctioned by the U.S. and Trump. According to Stahl and Starmer, Germany doesn't have an army or arms. They aren't allowed to have any armed forces as a standing army. Sir the Brit says NATO is the stormtroopers, brown shirts, the Stasi of the globalists.
Absolutely. The globalists are still there. And this is how you know that. Because China is a zillion times more powerful and dangerous than Russia. But every single one of our homes is filled with stuff made in China. It's not filled with stuff made in Russia. And actually, I've got a clip of what they really want is the globalists see Russia as a mineral, and they want Russia, and they want Russia broken up.
So let me read this comment because this is important. T over on YouTube says, excuse me, little alert that just popped up. We shouldn't blame a country that is being violently invaded, but not blame the country that is doing the violent invading just because right-wing media outlets tell us to. You know, there's seeing it one way, they're seeing it the other way, then they're seeing it the third way. You see it one way, the right wing sees it the other way, Leah and I see third way. Okay here? Listen, I'm not even convinced that I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like a tinfoil hat wearing person, but I don't know that Russia is exactly violently invading Ukraine. I'm not even sure that this war is. Here's a head twister.
Show me pictures. Show me videos.
I'm not even convinced that the fight between the Ukraine, between Zelensky, between Volodymyr and Vladimir, I'm not convinced that they aren't actually friends. Okay? I'm not convinced it's not alive from both sides. I'm not convinced of anything right now because they can't show you anything. There's nothing that we have seen to prove us anything other than the dollar bills, y'all, going from the United States to the Ukraine. This looks like an entire money laundering scheme to me. That's what I see. So when I'm looking at Ukraine, I'm not thinking violently invaded. I'm thinking you're just taking a bunch of money from the United States and countries from around the world. And I'm not really sure why. We do know that before all of this happened, the Ukraine has been unstable. The Ukraine has been completely corrupt, like the most corrupt nation in all of Europe.
They had Nazis. They had the Azov Battalion. We were warned in 2014 that Ukraine was full of Nazis.
I'm not going to say that
like
Russia
literal Nazis with Hitler on the wall.
Doesn't do super bad things and isn't corrupt and wouldn't do it. I'm not going to say that Russia wouldn't violently invade Ukraine. They totally would. They totally could. They totally can. And they may be. I'm not sure. But what I am saying is that there are reducing it to just the war. That's whatever that is. It's a mafia front store. Okay. It's the laundromat. You know what I'm saying? It's the bagel shop that is the front for whatever else is going on behind. That's what I'm saying.
So let's look at these numbers here. The EU wants to continue without the US. Okay, fine. Here you go. The United States versus everybody else. So you guys can go give your money to Ukraine for military, financial, and humanitarian. Okay, you go give your billions of dollars, your percentage of your GDP.
Why is this happening? Like, look at that. Like, for the podcast listeners, why is the United States giving so much money to the Ukraine?
We're not on your stinking continent.
I'm telling you, this whole 10% for the big guy stuff, the Joe Biden stuff, it's all incestuously.
Do you know there's bad guys going on everywhere? There are bad guys all over the entire world.
When you have the most corrupt men and women in Washington on both sides of the aisle pro-funding Ukraine, I'm telling you, they are not doing that out of the kindness of their heart. And you know what's so interesting? You may not know this about the United States, but historically speaking, the left is supposed to be the anti-war side.
Okay, so I'm going to play the wee-wee.
Leah.
Stay with me, Mr. Pro-Ukrainian.
No, I'm glad they're here. They left all kinds of hearts and thumbs up. But
please, yes, I'm glad you're here. But have you seen this video?
For the children families.
You don't see anything.
I know, but it's still weird.
It's still weird. So Zelensky had an entertainment company, and he did all kinds of weird, perverted things. This is him doing a comedy sketch, pretending to play the piano with his buddy with his male genitalia.
We've never played this on the show because it's so gross.
Well, there's even grosser ones.
I can't play the whole thing.
Yep. I'm not sending this guy money.
can't
No,
anymore.
you got to play it.
Yeah.
You're playing the whole thing. If
Leah.
you're sending them $100 billion, people need to know. Well, they're not done. What I find even more disturbing is that the Ukrainian people did not get up and walk out. What kind of people do this? Now, don't scroll up just a little bit. Or wait, it should be. This was a double thing. Oh, go back to it. Go back to just play it again.
No.
No, you're gonna play.
I don't want to play it again.
Hit play again, please. Just go backwards. Just go backwards.
How about you take the mouse? I don't do Twitter.
Okay. I want you to see this picture. So this is Zelensky's entertainment company just tweeted this out. That is the piano that he used on stage, and they put Trump's name on it in a snide remark saying, this is what we are going to do, and this is what we have done to Trump. We have played you with our male genitalia. That was put out by Zelensky's entertainment company. Nothing goes out unless Zelensky is behind it. Is this the game we're going to play with these people? I'm not playing a game. That's not a game. People are dying. And we've got a jokester over here thinking it's funny to put Trump's name on a piano. You want to laugh about something? I'm not talking to the viewers. I'm just talking to the pro-Ukrainians. Guys, this is your guy. Now, I am not saying that Putin's a good guy. But if we're going to be in a corner with somebody, he's going to be a good guy. That is the most disturbing thing I've seen in a while. Now, here we go. You want to see disturbing? Here we go, disturbing. Village ladies save their men. This is the, we're going to just go through video after video. And here's the thing. I don't doubt for 1 second that Putin is not recruiting this way as well.
Wait, repeat that sentence.
I believe that Putin is probably recruiting this way as well.
I don't know that Putin needs to recruit
No,
this
he
way.
is. No, in the beginning of the war, people don't want to fight in this.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians don't want to fight. The Ukrainians don't want to fight. Nobody wants to fight in this. Okay? I don't doubt that Putin is a thug. I don't doubt that. I know he is. What he is that you don't get to say that Zelensky's the good guy. Okay? Now, here we have all this forced conscription here.
Subscription.
I think
Conscription?
I think it's conscription. I think
Well,
I gave you the wrong
then
word.
you gave me the wrong word.
I did.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's subscription. I think you can.
Okay.
It's both.
We'll pretend.
Yeah.
The moms keep fighting. Look at this. It's amazing.
Rewind to see the snatch.
In all these videos, you see the moms are fighting. They're like kind of punching.
Olga, the brains.
So wait.
Why do they just let him go once these women are getting these men out? The wild card.
So these are people that came to help get these guys out from being conscripted.
Watch out for the white van. They obviously don't have some sort of legal authority to do it, and they just walk away a lot of times. It doesn't always go this way.
A lot of times they just end up taking them.
In Odessa, a military recruiter and a civilian sprayed each other with pepper spray.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Dude. Oh, shoot.
You're going to see a lot of people be pushed down. Sorry, guys. 5 military recruitment employees caught a fleeing guy and restrained him.
So, like, Leah, my thoughts on this are, I actually don't believe in government conscription of soldiers, even for the United States. I don't believe in the draft. I don't believe in any of that.
If you see the white van, you must run.
And so I am actually very supportive of these people running away. But my question to you is, we have these videos because a lot of times these guys aren't going to their homes. They're finding them out in public. If you knew that you were on the list. Why wouldn't you just hide out in your home?
You have to live life. Like
I know I would be hiding out in my home. I'm not going to. If I know that this is happening to the people that are getting conscripted, I'm not leaving my house.
I'm going to skip here. I'm just going to tell you what happens. A Ukrainian woman set herself on fire because her husband was mobilized.
Oh, wow.
A Ukrainian woman blew herself up, and then she blew up, I'm not going to show you guys, 3 military officers because of it. Military recruiters in Poltava knocked down a man. Just that's kind of one of their things. When he's running, push them till they fall down. Ukrainian guy went to walk his dog. The guy's dog was just thrown out and left on the street. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to watch that one. If you get caught, you can leave the military recruiter's minivan for $1,000.
Wow.
Once you're in the military center, it's $5,000 to $12,000. It's a huge business, and you can read the subtitles here.
I wanted to add about military recruitment. I have this anonymous message. So they write to me. Multiple friends told me that the taxi is already dangerous. They hand over clients so that they themselves are not picked up. There are cases of street mobilization. Sorry, I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish that one. Mobilization without document checks, or they check in the minibus itself. The price for freedom on the street is $1,000. To leave the recruitment center, it's $5,000 to $12,000. This is the story at the moment. I continue, support my idea that military recruitment should be disbanded. This is a structure and organization that has completely discredited itself, and the damage to mobilization, reputational damage, moral damage, it's terrible just from their activities.
So this is a money racket, by the way, for each person.
Again, this recruitment doesn't even prove that they're having to go to the front lines. It only proves that they're trying to get money from people.
A regular guy in flip-flops.
Wow.
These are older guys too.
When you say older, you mean like we're used to the 20-year-olds. You know, these are like 40, 50, 60. It doesn't make you old. It just means that older than what we would imagine you would be conscripted for the military.
You wouldn't see a retired guy be conscripted for the military, but you are right now. It's weird.
It is.
So then now they've got Romanian plates that they're using to psych people out. Oh, shoot. I think I have some more over here.
It looks like it. So here again, you're seeing these moms that are so they are fighting for these young men. It's harrowing actually, you know. But the video itself is really terrible. This for the podcast listeners. I mean, he is really kicking and screaming to fighting.
Once they're in the military recruitment center, they're beaten into submission.
Oh dear God!
So we're not going to watch a lot of this. We're just going to skim through.
Now this is a little child.
The force contacts don't understand why the you're gonna read that.
Mobilization officers don't come with them to fight because they're cowards. It's simple.
So basically saying, if you're recruiting me, why are you putting handcuffs on me?
He's like, I'm not a murderer.
Shame on you for wearing body armor. Let me fight you so I don't have to go. The amount of videos the military recruitment chases is overwhelming.
So what's interesting...
He just turned around and came back.
What's interesting, Leah, is, you know, we were telling everybody that we don't have video footage of the actual war, but we have plenty of videos of this. So what is going on?
I don't know. People just... we're not going to do all the violent ones, but they're just kind of... they walk into the home 5 seconds later, and you're serving in the walk home, and 5 seconds later you're serving in the Ukrainian military.
Oh my gosh! And it seems to me, Leah, like if they're that desperate for recruits, why wouldn't all the men be missing? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why is
Which
it so
ones are they
random?
picking?
Like, how are they picking?
I don't know, but these just seem like normal, everyday guys, so it's a very strange thing, and there's so many of them. This guy just gets knocked out. I don't want to play it.
Have you watched all of these?
Um,
Oh my gosh, they're hog tying this kid. Literally.
Another guy got grabbed while moving through his city.
And he's being carried like a dead body.
Some try to run.
Wow.
People just grab their phones. Car doors get broken and drivers pulled out. Dragged away from parks. Some dudes fight back.
So Danelle over on Facebook
There's a guy just regularly in shorts, and he's just kind of fighting back.
says, I read that he met with the Democrats before Trump, and they told him to do this, meaning that they exchanged with Trump. He did meet with the Democrats before his meeting with Trump. I'm not convinced that they told him to do that. It looked very spontaneous to me, but it could have been. Absolutely could have been.
Just so many of these things that seem random, like just kind of like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how is this?
I mean, they're screaming for help. Like, it's not, you normally would see the kind of arrests during, like, your criminals, but obviously
You don't see criminals screaming for help.
or out like
when they
in
get
shorts
arrested.
and a jean jacket.
Right.
You have a gun and you are safer. Wow. Oh my gosh.
So what is that though? Because one guy has a bag of groceries. So I don't even know what that video is because that doesn't make any sense. That's not an intent to conscript.
I'm not sure what that was. At least try to run.
Just mute that. Yeah.
He's just walking around in shorts and a backpack.
Yep.
Just
Oh, that guy's totally bit the dust trying to get him.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Ouch. And he's
yeah.
wow.
He's pretty hurt.
That didn't
That
go well.
didn't go well.
But a gun works wonders. Here's one with a gun.
But see, won't they come back for this person?
I don't know, but he got a gun out.
And then drives away.
With stuff on his car.
Yeah.
Guy pulls gun.
All right. I don't know how
Okay.
much more we need to watch. We get it. But there's a lot.
Yeah, this guy was barely saved. I think his dog, he was coming in.
Go dogs.
He barely gets away with his sweater. Watch. Nice move. His sweater came off.
Yeah.
And then they just walk away.
They walk away, I think, because the dogs were in there too. Like, I think they were like, let's not fight,
There were a couple more. I wanted to show you. Okay, we can be done with these. There are just so many, and I didn't even know they existed.
But clearly, J.D. Vance knew that they existed. So if you guys didn't see the exchange, the one and only time that it looked like Zelensky had kind of won a little jab or whatever was when he was asking J.D. Vance if he had been there. Have you been there? Have you been there? And J.D. Vance answers, and it was a very unfortunate response because it seemed so. He's like, but I've seen the news stories, and I'm like, but that sounded so weak.
Yeah.
But when this is what you have seen,
Right.
that's actually not even being covered on the news, by the
Right.
way. So I don't know. So he's seeing that elsewhere, but those are the only bits of video that we're getting from the Ukraine as far as this quote unquote war goes.
So this is the old Zelensky. He promised to end the war, to negotiate with Putin, to do everything to prevent a single death.
And that was all lies. Remember, this man is an actor. This is not, Putin is amazing, but you can't say one side is evil and the other side, that makes the other side innocent.
На сегодняшний день проблема для
The
Украины.
main problem with Ukraine today is the war.
Will you be able to end it if you get elected, and how? I'm completely against going to war because I'm such of a person. I am tough as a leader in the Quarter, the TV show, but I'm very liberal. I believe that everything, this whole topic, all of these regions, it's all about human life. Everything in it is about, I would take a human life and say, that's our goal, to save people. So any option like we will send our army there, I exclude. We should build the economy, right? Yeah, but second, we'll have to talk. We will have to talk if we want or not. We have to force ourselves to find an agreement, even with a bald devil. That's Putin. And to ensure that not a single person dies. So he says, so you're talking about the bald devil. Do you envision negotiations in the constellation Putin-Zelensky? What did he just say with the Russians? With the bald devil, can you imagine negotiations? He says, yes, easy. What do you need, guys? Here are your requirements. Then I would take these terms, but the peace has to be on our terms. Then I would say, look, these are our requirements. Somewhere in the middle, we would come together. So something would have to give. He says, very simple. It is very simple. Don't decide yourself. Never make yourself. I always say that to myself. Don't make yourself the smartest. There will always be a smarter. There will always be a more professional person than you. Take this list. The show on the TV. He says, would you be able to explain it to the people? He says, yes, 100%. People, look, I talked to him, Putin. Here is the list. Like the choice of a president. The whole decision is on you. Here's the referendum for you. Yes, everything is simple.
Sounds good.
It didn't happen. Sounds so great.
All right, here is the Russian Lavrov minister after the Trump Zelensky spat. They brought their bayonets to power first, Poroshenko, then Zelensky. How did they push Zelensky into a 180-degree turn, peace versus war? Though maybe. Lena would classify, but no, he turned 360, 100%. But he turned out 180. And he came to power through slogans of peace. Leave the Russian language alone. This is our common language, our common culture. It's all on the internet. And then 6 months turned into a pure Nazi. As correctly said by our president, a traitor to the Jewish people. And I got another one, just play it right next to it.
His team, Trump, Marco Rubio, and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are absolutely sane, reasonable people. In every sense of the word. They are talking based on, they do not order us around, and we do not order them as well. Just two serious countries.
I got one more. Sorry. I think there's
from
Lavrov. Yeah,
okay. Yes. And now, after the Biden term, people came who want to be guided by common sense, which straight up says we want to end all wars, we want peace, but who now demands the continuation of the party in the form of a war? Europe.
All right. Really so this was making the rounds. This is, I guess he called J.D. Vance a bitch. The word here in Russian is suka, and in English it means female dog. And translators are saying that he did.
And I know what happens is you bring them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, then here's Tulsi Gabbard wants you to know.
That the political establishment and propaganda media don't want you to know. Ukraine's President Zelensky has just banned yet another political opposition party, one that questioned his legitimacy as president, and used Ukraine's Department of Justice to mandate the seizure of this party's members' assets. Now, this is just the latest of Zelensky's actions to do this sort of thing. He began banning major political opposition parties in 2022. When he also started banning TV channels that were associated with his political opponents. And he took over total control of Ukraine's largest television networks, now controlled by their government. Now, Zelensky's presidential term ended on May 20th. He canceled elections in the name of martial law, suspending Ukraine's constitution so that he could stay in power. Now, defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, then we should presume that leaders in our own country and our own establishment media will also use this same excuse and rationale when they suspend our Constitution and our elections, since we too are at war with Russia and China. If you think this sounds crazy, look at what's already going on. They've already started conditioning us to accept a dictatorship by rationalizing their own use of our Department of Justice to target President Trump and other political enemies in their efforts to stay in power.
So those are some good thoughts.
I have a commercial break.
You do.
Yeah. So my friend Jessie loves to text me things from her children. Mm-hmm. And she has a 6-year-old boy, Elijah, and a 3-year-old girl, Phoebe, and they are best friends. And Elijah says, would you play hide and seek with me? And Phoebe says no. And he says, well, why not? And she says, well, I said no. And he says, but why? And she says, well, I can't decide. And he says, well, then why don't you go ahead and play hide and seek with me now while you think about it, and then that will help you to decide.
Wow, that is an intense conversation.
I know, I love kids.
Okay, well, speaking of kids, this is a young man, looks like a teenager, and he explains how you can escape for $15,000.
So we all know what Russian roulette is. But have you ever heard about Ukrainian roulette? No? So listen to me carefully, dear friends. Ukrainian roulette, it's when male of a war age decide to escape the country so he can actually be alive and make money for his family. And for that, he need to pay at least $15,000 at the moment to neither make some fake documents or get a group of disability or just go with somebody through the forest in Romania. Like, one of those things which not really 100% can be working though. And the odds, I think the odds is sort of 50-50. So half of people making it and half of people get caught by a bordermen of Ukraine, and guess what? If you got caught, they send you to a front line almost immediately. Like, they send you to a center where they're supposed to teach you for 3 months. You may spend in a center week, just so they show you how to automat works, and you're welcome to war. And yeah, so we have a 50% of the people who got drafted without their own permission, and yeah, guess how much of them would be survive on the first week on the battle.
Oh my. So that wasn't the same as the $15,000 to get out of it. That's like $15,000 to try to escape Ukraine.
Your EU's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, wants to break up Russia into small states. She says it with a straight face. You can close that out.
Okay.
It's more
conscriptions.
recruiting. Yeah, more happy recruiting.
Recruiting is not the right word.
Recruiting.
Russia's defeat is not a bad thing, because then there could be really a change in the society, and there are many different nations right now part of Russia as well. I think if you would have more like small nations, it's not a bad thing if the big power is actually much smaller. So.
So Russia's not going anywhere. So next plan, please. Here we have. This is the marching in of the nicely groomed.
For those of you that don't know, there was a Ukraine summit in London. And so everyone got together. We're going to show you the family picture that they took in a minute. But now you've got Ursula von der Leyen for the podcasters.
I'm calling it the wickedly nicely groomed. I mean, she looks like a wicked witch.
She does. And why do they all wear these weird suits? These female, like they don't have like a real collar and they don't really button up. It's like the new fad. Hillary Clinton wears them all the time.
Giorgia Meloni didn't necessarily look as happy, but she had to smile.
Is that on your next one?
Yeah, but yeah, and you can scroll down from Georgia because there's several from her after her.
Let's see. Hang on. Wow. Oh my gosh, there's so many here. It just opened up to this low one. So
okay, so
they're all coming. So you've got Mark Rutte, you've got Trudeau, then Macron. They're all these videos of these people coming to this summit.
One. Go to the next video.
All right.
Just close that out. Yeah.
Got it. This will be the one with
Meloni, yeah, and then everybody.
Oh, wait. Okay,
that's fine. This is everybody.
Okay, this is the family photo that they took. Just mute that. Okay. They're all so happy.
They're all so inbred.
Except Meloni doesn't look that happy.
No. I like how she's standing out in the white there.
There was a little bit of a. I'm not trying to be like, you know.
He's still not wearing a suit. Like everybody there has some sort of business attire, and he is such a narcissist that he can't put a stupid sports jacket on.
Watch his face here. It's like he's relieved and happy and
he's
thankful.
With his friends.
There it is. Oh, it's a big sigh there. Did you see that? Like, oh, thank you. You know.
He's with his warmongering
He's so happy
friends.
now. Like, okay, this is where I belong. I did not belong with Trump. They all love me here. I'm much more comfortable.
I love how Trudeau got there in 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah, from Canada.
So here is one of the female soldiers. So we have a very strange information policy of a total victory. Nobody wants to disappoint others with reality, and the reality today is completely different.
Oh, we want to read this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you just read it?
That part of it.
Okay.
The information of total victory.
Політика тотальної перемоги.
Don't just mute it. Just let
I know. I'm
bit.
trying to.
Це звичайно хорошо.
It's of course good because nobody wants to disappoint others with the reality which today exists, and the reality today is completely different. So with such an approach, we relax the civilians, because when you say, when will you join the army, when will you replace the ones who died here, who was wounded, so who will replace, let's say, 40 plus soldiers, who will replace them? Somebody needs to stand in their place, yes? Yes, they return, but in 6 months or 3 months, who will replace them now? And that's why these victorious stories demoralize us as soldiers, because you read about the war and think, I was at another front, ? Or does this not concern me? And you all don't care about me. And the people are very relaxed and they think that we'll be swimming in Crimea next summer. Okay, but you need to do something to achieve this too.
So basically, there is propaganda within Ukraine saying that they're winning. And she's like, we're not winning. Where's your win at? She said, what was it, somewhere else that I didn't know about?
Yeah.
So here you have, it's very interesting. This is Eastern versus Western Ukraine. Now, the Eastern Ukraine is the poorer part of Ukraine. It's the more traditionally Russian part of Ukraine. They actually speak Russian. And that is where it seems like they are, quote unquote, doing all of the recruitment. And then this is the Western part where it's obviously more Western. They have, they demand more weapons, whereas the women in the East are demanding that their sons not be conscripted.
Right. Well, it makes sense because
our children and husbands are moved out. Yes, done. We are generally fully crazy.
The East is where the fighting is all taking place anyway, and the reason for the fighting even. So
exactly. So Ukrainians in the West want more war.
Again, with the propaganda, they're not exactly being the ones that are being recruited here. Okay, wait, that's
how do you feel about
so fast.
Trump's
proposal that we need to sit down at the negotiating table and stop this at this stage? Where are we now? He says, well, to be honest, everyone is in shock, and so am I. We really hope for Europe. Maybe it will come to its senses and start taking some more radical actions, which it should have taken much earlier, because I think that our goal is to unite even more with Europe so that it will let us in and explain to Trump that it needs to be done differently. Well, but he's such a crazy little man, so let's see what he'll do. Do you think we should go to the borders of 14, I think she means 2014 and 1991, is that right? Or stop.
1491 or stop.
But as I understand it, not stopping. Well, actually, of course, if you ask me, I would say that we need to go further into Crimea because we need to go to the Cuban region because it is historically our territory. She says, what do you think about the actions of military recruiters that are taking the Ukrainians? He says, military recruiters, let's put it this way. They have a plan that they have to carry out, and there are their orders that they have to carry out. And on the other hand, there are people who kind of understand that they need to be obeyed. And of course, there are people who on this speculate and try to split society and so on. This is not news. She says, what must happen so that you now took part in the war? This is also a good question and a very difficult one, which I probably ask myself every day since the beginning of the war. And maybe this is an excuse for me, but I think that I am still more useful. When I say I bring money, I know I interpret that in my favor to say that. But it seems to me that if you understand that you can be of more use economically than at the front, because I'm not capable of fighting at all, aha, there it is. Well, see, but I'm more useful not fighting because I don't know how to fight. Neither do all these other guys.
He just said, I'm wealthy. I make money. He's not saying that.
And he's like, of course, I interpret this, in
my favor
and beneficial to me.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a very strange dichotomy where you have those in the West who are like, they look like they're living in a regular American city.
Right.
And those in the East, it's very poor. It's like East Berlin, West Berlin. Right. And the poor are being conscripted. The traditional, the culturally traditional, kind of the women that wear headscarves versus the westernized version.
Yeah.
And it's the westernized version that is like Zelensky's people.
Now, I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but I think it's important. But I want to take a little minute and go back to some comments because there's been quite a few over on Rumble here. Let's see. B. Riley and Britt Boz are talking about nuclear weapons. So I want to skip that because that's a whole conversation going on. Heather says, I wonder if Trump and team know this is a money laundering scheme and that meeting was a way to bring that truth to light. Barry says, Michelle, I've sent you the press statement that Stalin Starmer made today in yours and Leah's Messenger if you want to know what was said in it. I did not see that, but I'm sure Leah went through it and saw it. Jim says, no wonder his Congress just gave him full support. Chris points out that they are so young. Well said. Barry says, Michelle and Leah, I also sent you a little story that the BBC are facing criminal charges under the UK Terrorism Act over a documentary they made about Gaza and the little fact that they gave Hamas money out of the BBC license fee. That's very interesting. Barry says, Michelle, I sent you the press statement Starmer made in Messenger. James says, a bunch of hoods, the whole lot at that summit. Well, that's true. Exactly.
All right. So this is...
Let me read one more comment over from YouTube. Stuart the Brit says, conscript armies never work. Historically, America and Britain have professional armies and personnel. That's why we are so effective.
So Tucker got to go to a ski resort in the Alps, which is probably the most expensive in the world, which he says, I wasn't there to ski, but I was at a meeting, and the whole town was full of Ukrainians.
Oh, wow.
He says they go in this air maze and spend $1 million a day. You can close out that.
Okay. All right. So this is a recent trip that he made, or is this?
It's pretty recent.
Okay, because that's interesting. And not at all surprising, by the way. I love that they put this in Russian. Subtitles.
Last weekend, I had a meeting at, in a ski resort in the Alps, which is probably the most expensive town in the world. I was not there to ski, for the record. But the whole town is Ukrainian. All the visitors are Ukrainian, and they're rolling into air maze and dropping $1 million in an afternoon. Okay. So it's all through Europe. You see this. The richest people are the Ukrainians. That money is ours. It belongs to me and you and every other American taxpayer. That's where it's going. Second fact, not guess, fact is Ukrainian military is selling a huge percentage, up to half of the arms that we send them. Half. And I'm not guessing about this. I know that for a fact, okay? Not speculation. And they're selling it, and a lot of it's winding up with the drug cartels on our border. So this is a crime, what's happening. Our intel agencies are fully aware of this. You tell me they're not profiting from this. Of course, you think the CIA is not profiting from this? Yes, they are. They know this. And no one is saying it. Like, no American seems aware of this. We're sending these arms to Ukraine, hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's being stolen and sold to our actual enemies. Like,
All right. So the next little meme here is Zelensky banned the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, exiled Ukrainian church leaders, banned political opposition parties, jailed political opposition leaders, banned members of his own party, jailed members of his own party, banned media who criticized him, jailed media members who opposed him, banned all who did not agree with him, and jailed anyone who opposed him in Ukraine. I mean, you could say it about Putin, but whatever. I had a whole thing set up for Gonzalo Libra, who was reporting on this in the Ukraine, and he was killed.
And he put off elections. Somebody even put in the comments to the right here until he says so. Like, well, we can't have any elections because we're in the middle of a war.
All right, 10 takeaways from the Zelensky blow-up. Zelensky does not grasp or deliberately ignores the bitter truth. Those with whom he feels most affinity, Western globalists and American left, the Europeans, have little power in 2025 to help him. And those with whom he obviously does not like or seeks to embarrass alone have the power to save him. For his own sake, I hope he is not being briefed by the Obama, Clinton, Biden gang to confront Trump. Zelensky acts as if his agendas are ours and are identical, so he keeps insisting that he is fighting for us, despite our 2-ocean distance that he mocks. We do have many shared interests with Ukraine, but not all by any means. Trump wants to, quote, reset with Russia and triangulate it against China. He seeks to avoid a 1962 DEFCON 2-like crisis over a proxy showdown in proximity to a nuclear rival. The Europeans and Canada are now talking loudly of a new muscular antithesis, independent of the U.S. promises. Given that would require Europeans to prune back their social welfare state, frack, use nuclear, stop green obsessions, and spend 3 to 5% of their GDP on defense. The U.S. does not just pay 16% of NATO's budget, but also puts up with asymmetrical tariffs that result in a European Union trade surplus of $160 billion. That plays the world cop patrolling sea lanes and deterring terrorists and rogue states that otherwise might interrupt Europe's commercial networks abroad, as well as de facto including Europe under a nuclear umbrella of 6,500 nukes. Zelensky must know that all of the once stopping issues to peace have been de facto settled. Ukraine is now better armed than most NATO nations, but will not be in NATO, and no president has or will ever supply Ukraine with the armed wherewithal to take back the Donbass and Crimea. So the only two issues are how far will Putin be willing to withdraw to his 2022 borders, and how will he be deterred? The first is answered by a commercial sector tripwire, joint Ukrainian-U.S.-Europe resource development corridor in U.S. eastern Ukraine, coupled with a Korea-like demilitarized zone. The second by a fact that Putin, unlike his 2008 and 2014 invasions, has now lost 1 million dead, supposedly, and wounded to a Ukraine that will remain thus armed.
Can I read a couple? What are Zelensky's alternatives without much U.S. help? Wait for a return of the Democrats to the White House in 4 years? Hope for a rearmed Europe? Pray for a Democratic White House and a third Vindman-like engineered Trump impeachment? Or swallow his pride, return to the White House, sign the rare earth minerals deal, invite in the Euros? Or are they seriously willing to patrol a DMZ and hope Trump can warn Putin, as he did successively between 2017 and 2021, not to dare try it again? Or number 6, if there's a ceasefire, a commercial deal, a Euro ground presence, an influx of Western companies into Ukraine, would there be elections? And if so, would Zelensky and his party win? And if not, would there be a successor, transparent government that would reveal exactly where all of the Western financial aid money went?
That's good. I think the rest we kind of get.
Okay.
So I don't know what honestly, I don't know what his plan is. And so we haven't really covered a lot. You know, this Ukrainian war, they say 1 million dead. I haven't seen the bodies. I haven't seen the graves. I haven't seen the war footage. It's not, this is this big war that we are involved in. I don't even see 60 Minutes going over there doing a tick, 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 tick. Like, it's like it doesn't exist. I'm so confused. If certainly anyone is dead, show me the body, show me the money, or is it all a front? Some people may be dying. I don't understand. I honestly, guys, I've seen nothing. And I watch the news every day. That's all day. That's all I
Here's
do.
what I want to know. So we are, everybody is up in arms, and I don't know why everyone is so upset about the stupid Epstein files and the photo taken outside of the White House by, Cernovich and the lot. I don't know why everybody's so upset about that. However, if supposedly the alternative press, the Liz Wheelers of the world, have the ear of the White House and the administration, why aren't they asking the same questions that we are? Hey, do you guys have footage that we don't have? Because we've seen nothing of an actual war in Ukraine. Do you have information and intel that we can give to the American people that will prove that you're telling everyone that thousands and thousands of people are dying, but we have zero proof or evidence of that. Historically, every single war that America has fought, all the way back to the Revolutionary War, has had war correspondents. It has had press and media that are there covering it. Where are they, and why are they not in Ukraine? Here's the thing. You could say, Michelle, maybe it's just too gruesome. Are you kidding me? There were war correspondents in Vietnam. Don't give me it's too gruesome in Ukraine. Okay, when they're literally conscripting guys in flip-flops. This is not Vietnam. And we had press there. So what's going on? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so let's head over to the Romanian protests, which large crowds went into the street this week. The protests have been ongoing since they stopped the election. I'm going to read this article from the AP, but you can play the videos in the background. I think I've got up if you want to give people some visuals. Tens of thousands of go ahead, you can let him speak here. Sorry. This is Colin.
He says, I love you all. We can't be free unless we are united. That audio is just terrible. The system tried to divide us. Ladies and gentlemen, Callan Georgescu. There you go. That's it.
Okay, so tens of thousands of protesters gathered in Romania's capital on Saturday in the latest anti-government demonstration by quote-unquote far-right groups. After a top court canceled a presidential election in the European Union country last year, they used to call the Nazi battalion in Ukraine far right. So I'm just confused about this. So now we're with the far right. I don't quite get it. Protesters converged in front of the government building in Bucharest, waving Romania's tricolor flag and chanting slogans such as "Down with the government" and "Thieves." Many expressed support for Callan Georgescu, who emerged as the front runner in December's canceled election and demanded that they be resumed, resumed from the second round. George Simeon, the leader of the far-right Alliance for the Unity of Romanians, which organized the protest, told supporters on Saturday, "We are united, we are strong, we are here because our vote was stolen, because democracy was trampled on." Simeon told reporters that the protest aimed to, quote, restore democracy and free elections, and demanded the resignation of the Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu. "We do not trust that the upcoming elections will be free and fair." A no-confidence vote on Friday, which was backed by the AUR and two other far-right opposition parties, failed to unseat the current president's pro-Western coalition government, which was formed after a December 1st parliamentary election. It's supposed to be an election rerun scheduled for March 4th. Romania has seen reoccurring protests after the Constitutional Court made the unprecedented move to annul the election 2 days ahead of the December 8th runoff following Georgescu's surprise first-round win. The far-right populists had polled in single digits and declared zero campaign spending. Allegations of electoral violations and Russian interference quickly emerged. Moscow has denied it meddled in Romania's election. On Wednesday, Romanian prosecutors launched a criminal investigation against Georgescu, accusing him of supporting fascist groups, incitement to actions against the constitutional order, and false declarations regarding electoral campaign financing and asset disclosures. Prosecutors have placed him under judicial control, according to his lawyers. Georgescu, who has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, attended Saturday's protest. Now, we played the video of him, which I absolutely love, that he said that we're at a spiritual battle, that this is a battle between God and Christ, and it was very reminiscent of El Salvador's Bukele. This in the backdrop of, and Michelle has some of those videos over here.
I have this one. I don't know if this is one you want to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
This in the backdrop of, the Tate brothers. I don't understand. I don't see how the Tate brothers get any justice in a system that's already this corrupt.
Am făcut o revoluție. Eram copil în clasa a treia.
So we don't speak Romanian. I don't know that there's any English here, but you're seeing
yeah.
him. He was arrested, and then there was a protest, and then he was released. And I think you're seeing probably the release here after the protest. Let's skip ahead here.
Was he injured in the arrest?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the guy who
he was like a super swimmer, fit guy.
He swims in cold water.
Yeah.
So let's go over here to some of these YouTubes I have over to the left.
Starting with the first one.
Yep. Thousands rally in Romania in support of Kalin. Protesters demand annulled presidential election second round. He's a known critic of NATO, EU, and aid to Ukraine.
Tens of thousands gathered in Victory Square on Saturday to demand annulled presidential election's second round. Romania's constitutional court annulled the first round results from December, where the right-wing candidate, Kalin Georgescu, speed this up a little if you want me to. Led with 23% of the vote. A new election is now set for May 4th with a possible runoff on May 18th. So you thought it was March? It's May? That might be a typo. Authorities claim Georgescu's campaign had Russian backing without proof. Georgescu is a known critic, and we read that already. Turn down that music a little bit. The rally was organized by the Alliance for the Union of Romanians, led by George Simeon, with Georgescu also in attendance. Organizers claim nearly 1 million attendees, but media reports suggested lower numbers, like they always do. I don't think that guy's speaking English. Law enforcement had a heavy presence, and there were isolated altercations between police and demonstrators. Georgescu was briefly detained on Wednesday. Authorities charged him with 6 offenses. Georgescu sought help from the U.S. President Donald Trump. That's interesting. Describing the case as a political witch hunt. I don't think that Trump has responded. Speaking at Munich Security Conference, Vance also criticized Romania's government. Simeon warned of more rallies unless the government acknowledges public dissatisfaction.
So you can go, you can skip the next two and go to the last one, and we'll play Michael Weaver or Michael
That's
Heaver.
Serbia. Hang on.
Yeah, the last one.
There we go.
The chaos in Romania seems to be escalating. Of course, we've seen international condemnation after Romania saw its second round of the presidential election cancelled and then rescheduled. You've subsequently seen protests. You've subsequently seen the president of Romania resigning. And we've just seen today Romanian police hauling in this Kalin Georgescu, who won that first round of the Romanian election, for questioning, being reported that he's being quizzed now. And the statement from the official Facebook account saying Kalin Georgescu was going to file his new candidacy for the presidency, but the system stopped him in traffic and he was pulled over for questioning. And they asked, where is democracy? Where are the partners who must defend democracy? Now, George Simeon, who is the leader of the AUR, is saying that he's protested against this tyrannical regime, that they were supposed to meet today to discuss the filing of the candidacy for Georgescu. And he said, Romania, full dictatorship. Now, you've also seen Simeon push ahead with a plan to submit a motion of no confidence against the Prime Minister, against what he described as an illegitimate and total failure government. And though some may try and portray all of this as sort of on the fringes of Romanian politics, I think it's very important to highlight, and please do give me any feedback as ever, particularly those of you in Romania on all of this. But it's worth highlighting that in the latest Romanian poll, this AUR party that George Simeon is the leader of is the most popular party in Romania now. This isn't some weird fringe group. This is a party leading in the polls, number one in the polls. Yet another presidential election poll has Georgescu out in front again there with a 14-point lead. And so, as you see, criticism ramping up, particularly from America, from Vice President J.D. Vance, from Elon Musk as well. You've even seen, it seems, an intervention from America calling for Georgescu to be allowed to run in this rescheduled election. And you've seen thousands out in Romania protesting. And you see the slogans there of President Georgescu, and we want the second round to be resumed. So again, a very dramatic turn of events in Romania. I will, of course, keep bringing you all the latest on this and much more, guys.
So it's unfortunate that Romania is so corrupt that they're kind of holding together by like a thread, to where if you get somebody who might be able to clean things up, who might be able to make a stand against the EU, they just don't have the moral fortitude to be able to hold it up.
Right.
And that's unfortunate because they do run. Andrew Tate was able to flourish in Romania because it is such a corrupt country, and there are lots of men who run these cam girl businesses. He wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
Speaking of pro-family,
nice transition.
Let's go to Hungary because we need to cleanse our palate. Hungary's Orban, in a not so corrupt government, an honest one that actually seems to love Jesus, and Hungary seems to be a moral country and sane, the only sane European country right now, it seems like. Viktor Orban announces a fresh pro-family financial incentives and tax breaks for parents.
Time to make babies for your country.
In a speech in the, I can't say it, to mark the opening of the spring session of Parliament, Viktor Orban announced his government would double the tax deductions for children from their current rate and plans to introduce full income tax exemptions for mothers of 2 or more children.
Wow.
Starting in October of this year, the Hungarian government will also raise the age limit for the childbirth incentive loan to 35 years, Orban said. Under the plan, prospective parents can apply for an interest-free loan up to $28,000 from the government. If a child is born within the first 5 years after the loan, repayment is suspended for 3 years and 3 more years, and a repayment reduction of 30% if a second child is born. And if a third child is born, the government waives the entire amount of unpaid by the couple.
Wait
They're
a minute.
literally
So you have
paying
3 kids.
Yeah.
Then you ain't got to pay back your loan of $28,000.
Mm-hmm.
Get out.
Mm-hmm. And you can take it out in the beginning, at the front.
Before you even have any kids at all.
Yes.
With just an
And
intent.
so if you have one child within the first 5 years,
then the repayment
is suspended for 3 years. Like you don't have to, you can try for another one.
Yeah.
You get 3 years to try for a second baby.
Love it. So
And
wait,
then-
but why are you needing all this money just to have a baby?
It's
just to get pregnant, I mean.
I think it's to encourage moms to stay at home. The
No,
government
I
is trying
get
to
that,
be the
but
father.
like you don't need to be staying at home to get pregnant. They're giving you the loan before you even get pregnant.
I know. That's crazy.
I don't understand.
Mr. Orban said that the measures he announced on Tuesday were unprecedented in Europe and claimed that they represented the largest tax reduction program throughout the continent. In America, unfortunately, we do this, but it's for single people.
Yeah, you have to be
and they get
single.
stuck on welfare. It needs to be for, and that's why it's different. That's why this program is different. This is for, and it's just
It's
really
pro-family.
It's a really interesting way to keep a family together. And I'm not saying that this is. I don't think that welfare should be. But in America, we have all these, especially inner city women, especially Black women. I think it's like 80% of Black children are born outside of marriage.
Unbelievable.
However, what this does is you're only getting the money if you're married.
Right.
Whereas in America, you only get the money if you're not married.
Right.
Okay. And it's and this idea of the loan, which is, okay, so you're going to be together. You got 5 years to be together. Okay. And you're going to have a child. And then if you have a second child, it's encouraging the longevity of the marriage as well.
That's
And then
true.
for a third child, you're constantly, and honestly, children should be an incentive financially. But in America, it is, it's very difficult and expensive to have children. I mean, I've had women, especially feminists, scream at me because this woman, she was a Christian, supposedly. She was a minister. She was marrying people. And she came at me when I was talking about abortion. She said she had an abortion in college. And she said, you have no idea how much children cost. They're at least $10,000 to $20,000 a year. And they're so expensive. She kept saying, children are so expensive. Children are so expensive. You have no idea how expensive children are. And I'm like, you sound like you are regretting having children. And she said, I do. Like, they're so expensive. Like, I'm like, but you have your sons. How are you even speaking like this? And it's an inverse of true life. He said the measures announced on Tuesday were unprecedented. He said the government would be able to do this while still being on course to reduce the budget. The birth rate in Hungary fell to a record low 1.2% in 2011, the year after Orban came into power. With his pro-family agenda, the birth rate continually rose to a high of 1.6 in 2021. However, following the coronavirus, it fell back down. While still up over a quarter from when he took office, Orban is seeking to increase the birth rate to 2.1%
You
at the
need
end
the
of the decade.
two in order for your society to
be
even
replaced.
Have replacement, and not to have a decline in your numbers, which I think is really interesting. That you know, when I was growing up, we were all everyone. It was bipartisan, anti-China's one-child policy, and so I remember. What was it, like 10 years ago when it was before our show started, I think, when I realized that China was reversing that, and now they're allowed, now you're allowed to have two, and like maybe sometime like three, because China began to realize, like, hang on a minute, having less and less people is not good for our nation. Population control is a myth.
Yeah, so commercial break. Gareth Wynne Jones shared this out last week, and I didn't get a chance to share it. This looks like two sisters, and they're in the UK here growing lots of wonderful winter vegetables and
Hang on
eggs.
a minute. How much are those eggs selling for? Okay, I think that might be potatoes. I can't read it.
Yeah, I don't know how much the eggs are
That
selling.
looks like it says, I don't know, but it looks cheap. Okay, Leah, can we just please just pause? What is going on with those carrots?
Looking good.
How
The
are they
carrots, the
growing
onions, the
carrots
kale.
like that?
So in the UK, they have a nice temperate weather, and they do have constant rain, but it's usually a slow. It's just beautiful. Okay,
We're not good at carrots.
We're going to get better. Here, I want to play another kind of commercial break. This is an Irish young man who was saved from having bottom surgery, and because Jesus saved him, and some good Christians saved him. It's a beautiful story.
Hi everybody, so I am confirming that I have never had this bottom surgery. I never went through with it because God saved me before I went and done that surgery. So that just shows you how amazing God is. I want to give the glory and honor and praise to Jesus Christ because he saved me from a lot of things that I was about to do to myself. I was about to destroy his creation, and God saved me from that because these people told me that I was going to be a real woman. You cannot change what God created you. Only Jesus can free us from the lies of Satan. So all this gender reconstruction, all this stuff, it's not from God. I know this is going to offend a lot of people, but it's going to also save you from the lies that I was living in too. Just pray that this reaches someone in Jesus' mighty name. I'm not here to be harsh, I'm here to be the truth. But yeah, they paid £30,000 for me to go get the surgery. I never went and actually got the surgery. And I'm saying this out of love. So no, I didn't get the bottom surgery done. And I don't think you should either. It's wrong. It says in the Bible, if anyone destroys God's temple, God will also destroy them. Your body is that temple. Your body is the temple of God's beautiful Holy Spirit. So honor God with your body and the body that you were given. It's time to start living for Christ Jesus. Because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And I pray that this video actually blesses people that need to hear it. I'm not here to slam anybody. I'm here to actually spread the truth and love. That's all I want to do. It's always been Jesus who's been an amazing, amazing friend, an amazing father, and a beautiful, just beautiful. That's all I can say about him. He's beautiful. And he loves you so much. And so do I. And that's why I'm making this video. The only surgery that I had done was the top surgery. And I made that mistake. And people were so kind and graceful and gracious to donate me money to pay for that surgery that I couldn't afford to reverse. They helped me reverse the surgery that I made the mistake in the first place, which was top surgery. But now I'm back to myself. Praise Jesus. And the glory goes to God. Because this wouldn't even be possible if I wouldn't even be standing here if it weren't for God. God is good. That's why I'm trying to tell people God is good and he has a plan for your life. Jeremiah 29:11. God has the plans for you, the plans to prosper you and not to harm you. But this world will harm you.
So I want to point something out. Jesus is real. Okay? Because you don't go from that level of I have now, that sounded just like a woman. So whatever hormones were being given, that was very, like my brain was constantly having to rewrite that. But that was a dude. Okay. For the podcast listeners, I know that might've been a little bit confusing. Obviously the hormones had changed his voice. But you don't go from that level of, I've now had this surgery. I'm getting ready to have this second surgery. Then you have the first one absolutely reversed. And now you're declaring and proclaiming the name of Jesus. Like if that doesn't prove to you that God is real, I don't know what will, because you don't have that kind of massive change without the power of God. It doesn't exist. Okay, you don't have that kind of snapping out, because it is, I will say it on my show, it is demonic possession to want to mutilate your body. And the only thing that will set you free from that is Jesus. And Leah, you were talking yesterday about, or maybe even the day before, about what, like the real gospel and real salvation. And when you see someone in America, unfortunately, we have this kind of very soft gospel that doesn't, and so the soft gospel will get some salvations, but it doesn't get that kind of salvation, the kind that literally sheds the demons from your life, where you take a complete 180 from the direction that you were headed in. You know, that only the real gospel can do that. But there's unfortunately a lot of these
I'm feeling
salvations,
St. Patrick come up in that one.
a lot of these quote unquote salvations that we're getting, where you look at somebody and they just kind of say a little prayer and they go home, and they don't have a real conviction,
right,
to change their lives.
Right.
They don't have any real freedom that you see. And so there's no wonder that people from the outside look in and say, well, you know, your God's not real. But if you look at that, an atheist, Barry, should be able to look at that and go, only God could have done that.
Only Jesus.
Only Jesus.
I've never seen Allah do it.
I've never seen Allah do that.
Never seen atheism do it.
Exactly.
So Michelle, I have this queued up here. I feel like, Mom, our prayers took the power out in Chile this week, but it came back on. But legit, I thought this was crazy because the whole country of Chile went without power.
A nationwide blackout forces the streets of Santiago to run on little more than passing headlights. Thousands of soldiers have been deployed to affected regions to guarantee the safety of people left with little to do during a nighttime curfew.
The blackout happened while I was at work. Our equipment shut down, so after 30 minutes, our bosses sent us home.
Authorities were quick to rule out a cyber attack as the cause, confirming a crucial transmission line had been disconnected. In a late-night address, Chile's president said power had been restored to around half of the 8 million homes affected.
All our energy is focused on ensuring that companies comply with the recovery of the system and that electricity is restored throughout the entire country.
The outage hit in the early afternoon. Mines in Chile's north were affected, though no emergency situations were reported. In its more populated central and southern regions, traffic jams stretched for miles, while others became trapped in elevators.
I
know. There's nothing. No cash, no metro, nothing.
The Santiago Metro, which transports millions of passengers, was forced to shut down, with several people evacuated from stalled trains.
It was bad. I had just left a psychology appointment and had been crying a lot.
Oh,
Suddenly,
wow.
we were caught in the tunnel and I had a panic attack. The station manager had to get me out. There were so many people.
Catching a bus wasn't much better. Old shuttles from the 1990s and early 2000s were brought back from retirement to help alleviate the high demand.
Wow.
It usually takes us 35 minutes to get home, but we've been waiting for the bus for about 5 hours. For the past 3 hours, every bus has been full. They don't want to stop.
An investigation has been launched as Chile's president vows to hold the relevant bodies responsible in a true exercise of power. Manny Tsigas, ABC News.
I don't know. Nothing happened. It wasn't a terror attack. Somebody just unplugged one thing.
One line.
One thing, and your whole country, it goes into chaos. So you have to understand
I don't
just
trust it. don't trust it.
Just how fragile the systems we are in. Did you see the panic people were in?
I don't know. That guy playing the guitar made a lot of sense.
Well, the woman had a panic attack because she was stuck on the train.
I know I would be.
And
yeah.
the people were like, "Oh my gosh, there's no money, there's no metro, there's no way to get home. You're literally stuck."
Something else is playing now.
If you have a horse, you can always travel, like Mom would say. The horse doesn't go out without electricity. Now he needs some food, but usually it's you figure that out early on. It's not like all of a sudden I'm hungry, I can't move anymore or something like that. You know, you try to make your plans ahead of time, make sure there's water. So I don't know, Mom. Maybe we got to press in a little bit more on this one, and I think the peace that the people felt at that moment, I'm going to guarantee you, was great. I really, really want to get the smart meter turned into a regular meter on our house. I don't know if that's going to help because here's the thing, and I bring this up all the time. The most peaceful you will ever feel is when they turn the power off completely to your house. Like, and not when they turn it off or when it goes out. You're so surprised. Like, all of the equipment that we have, like the refrigerators hum, everything hums, everything has a buzz to it, and it's actually even in your walls. It has a frequency to it.
We were passing a house. We took a walk a couple of days ago, and they had a giant kind of like transformer out in front of their house, and it was buzzing. And I was like, it was so loud. I'm like, I can't even imagine.
So when the power
goes
out, it's really it is creepy, and there is an element of fear to it because what has happened is you're so used to hearing a frequency. Mm-hmm. You're a resonance. It's literally in your ears, and then when that resonance goes away, that's what makes people. I honestly think it's there's an underlying a subconscious resonance that you're hearing when you're in buildings with electricity. Mm-hmm. And when you're in buildings with no electricity, it's not there, and it's uncomfortable because you've become comfortable in that buzziness. And so like when you're outside, you don't feel that. You feel freer when you're outside.
Not just outside, but like, so they talk about
because there's power lines outside,
grounding and earthing and all of those things. Because of all the electronics, we have what's called positive ions running through our body all of the time. Mm-hmm. They're not actually a good thing. The positive doesn't mean a good thing. It's actually bad. Mm-hmm. You want the negative ions, right? And so pink Himalayan salt lamps produce that positive zapping ions. The negatives come in.
And you can make mats. I used to have one running here. I don't know where
still do.
It went.
You could hook it up. But my point, I want to give you guys some tips. There's a couple of things that produce those negative ions that cancel out the positive ones. First and foremost, your best thing to do is walk barefoot outside. Mm-hmm. But if you can't do that, walking in the woods literally produces the negative ions around you. Mm-hmm. Going to the ocean produces negative ions.
And a fire.
And that's what I was getting at. A fire, being around an actual fire will produce those negative ions. So there's things that you can do that you should regularly do to ground yourself to get that stuff out of your system.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I'm going to skip that Mike Ben's one. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't know. I know it's not world news, but it kind of is. We don't have it on the docket today. I don't think Leah does. But there are 127 fires that broke out in Myrtle Beach today. That's domestic news here for us in the United States. We might do like a live show tomorrow.
I don't think it's Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is on the East Coast.
I know.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Okay.
And so that is something new. It's not California. It's Myrtle Beach. That something new that's happening as of today. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are being displaced. I don't trust any of these wildfires. So I don't want to waste the world news show on that because if it becomes a thing, it probably will, we'll just do a show maybe tomorrow afternoon or something. A reminder while I'm talking about shows, because today's show is going to get cut probably a little short, or I'll just leave and Leah can finish the show. But tomorrow night on The Outliers, Monday night, we will have Rafi Farber of Endgame Investors.
You guys are going to love it.
Could we take a little break, Leah, so we can do this while I'm advertising for the show? Sure. So Todd from Illinois had sent us a gift. Now, and I love this so much. It's with a little note here, Leah. You take that. It says, hello. Enclosed is a gift for your ministry and possibly worthy of a topic of brief conversation if you wish. Which of these have more value? Your brother in Christ, Todd.
Now-
the dime doesn't have any significant collectible value that I'm aware of, he says.
Now, here's the thing. The dime is the date. So the date on the dime.
I don't know that they're going to be able to see it. Just tell them what it
It's
says.
1950.
Right.
And then we just have a
Just a regular old-
2017 paper dollar. So we're going to allow you all to put in the chat without Googling.
I'll Google it for you.
Without Googling which one has more value. Give us a minute and then we'll come back to it. We'll do a story and we'll come back, okay?
Okay.
Which one has more value? Which one has more value?
The dollar or the dime?
The dollar or the dime, the dollar or the
dime.
dime. Okay, so we'll come back to this after we go to Greece. Would you rather have the 1950 dime or the 2017 paper dollar? All right, so breaking Athens, Greece, what started out as a peaceful protest actually involving hundreds of thousands has turned into a full-blown riot in the Greek capital. All across Europe, people have had enough with their treasonous globalist sellout governments. This one is a little bit more nuanced in trying to understand what they are angry about. So we have to, let me bring up, I think I have. So what are they upset about in Greece? Let me see.
For the podcast listeners,
Over a
this
million-
is a lot of firecrackers. I don't even know they're throwing Molotov cocktails.
Over a million take over streets to demand safety reforms 2 years after a deadly train crash. Crowds of hundreds of thousands of people convened in nearly every major city in Greece on Friday to mark the 2-year anniversary of the worst train disaster in modern history of the country and demanded safety reforms to ensure it does not happen again. The left-leaning newspaper Tania reported that over 1 million people nationwide participated in marches, protests, and sometimes violent riots on Friday that took on an accusatory tone towards the federal government. The outrage was fueled in part by the publication of a report on the incident on Thursday that suggested the collision between a passenger train and a freight train was caused in part by human error and indicated that the government had not made any significant reforms to address the problems identified. There's no evidence that anyone has faced any consequences for the failure of the failure to impose. Michelle, you can play the video. To impose the safety standards to prevent the accident. You can see a video of this accident happening. The trains crashed in the town of Tempe in eastern Greece on February 28th, 2023, completely destroying at least 3 cars in a fiery wreck. The passenger train involved was carrying hundreds of people, and the death toll ultimately rose to 57 people, many of them university students. The incident was met with immediate nationwide protest against the center-right Prime Minister Mitsotakis, I don't know how to say his name, Takis, particularly those organized by unions representing railway employees, fearing that their trains could be next to face a similar fate. The president then promised at the time that he would launch a judicial probe into the situation. He insisted Friday that he would continue to invest in improving safety regulations for the Greek railroad network after the publication of the damning report the day before. Everyone's thoughts are with the families of the 57 victims, with the injured, and there's another video with the protest, but also with those who survived this accident, forever carrying with them the wound of its memory.
This is actually a news story.
Okay.
I don't know if it's in English, though. I don't think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I can just mute it.
Footage of the protest showed some black-clad protesters there. Some reports indicated the protesters vandalized the parliament building. Then Tania reported that in response to the violence, the police had to use tear gas. So Greece has a robust and violent organized left, and they are the same in France. You have a protest like the Yellow Vests, and then the far left just comes out and they just want to destroy. Okay, whereas most of these people were there to protest the government, and
I mean, I can understand I'm sure there's a lot of cultural nuances that are behind this that we are just not going to be able to understand or even convey to you guys in any satisfactory way. However, I do know this. In all of Europe, trains are used far more than they are in the United States. So you have to almost detach East Palestine from this, because imagine if there was, you know, like we kind of use our bus system a little bit in the way that they use their train station or their train
But
situation.
even more so, I mean,
but
like,
even more so, like
they use trains for everything.
So imagine your everywhere, you know, source of transportation, something this tragic had happened and there was zero explanation. No one was held accountable. So you have no idea of knowing if your next train ride could become a giant fireball explosion. But I do think that there's probably a lot more to this than just that.
Yeah, there's a lot of so some people are just upset at the government. Some people are seeing this as a far left protest. Some people are seeing this as just a protest against the government. And obviously Antifa coming in to try to, it says the economy is in the toilet and their government does not care about the suffering of the people. The Greek people want change. There's also farmer protests. There's just Europe is just not a stable place to be right now when you have 1 million people in each country. Serbia was protesting their right-wing government as well, 1 million people coming out to the streets. And so there's just a lot of protesting, a lot of instability going on. I'm going to do a commercial break and go backwards to this Twitter here of woodwork classes in a school in China, which using real but scaled down tools.
I saw this the other day. It's amazing that Lee and I find some of the same stuff on different places, but here we go. This is really great.
Wow, that is
it's
pretty
legit.
cool.
No, it's like legit though. These are like cut your finger off stuff, man. Little sander there. Little clampy. Big giant hammer. It's making like little weapons there.
Clamps.
Like a drill, like legit. And first of all, how are they so good at this? He just made a little.
He just made a
launcher.
catapult.
He's like 6 years old.
Okay, that's awesome.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's go back to the dime. You guys put in your your guesses.
Which one has
there.
more value?
I'm gonna go to the comments here. All right, let's see. Over on YouTube, Eric and Kelly is guessing the dime.
It is
Stuart
so
the Brit
thin.
says
It's so thin.
silver. I mean, duh. Over on Rumble, Brenda says the dime. Lisa says the dime. B. Riley says, is that a sandwich dime or pure metal? Jim says the silver dime is worth more. Chris says the dime is worth more than $3. Wicked Psych says the dime is worth more. You guys are awesome. You all
The
win the
dime
prize.
is worth in circulated condition between $2.75 and $3.25. However, if you have a pristine uncirculated dime, you could be in possession of $700, to which I would recommend that you.
Happier with Christ says, I think the dime, wasn't it 1947 when the mint changed the makeup of the dime, or was that the nickel?
62.
I think that was a little bit later. Let's
think
see.
you want all
Barry
dimes
says the
under
coin,
62.
it's made from silver. Barry says Greece is actually living below poverty line, so there are serious issues in Greece. Again, this is down to the EU and the hardship that Germany is pushing them into. So I am so proud of you guys. Obviously, everybody got that right.
Well done.
So
if
well
I
done.
Could, I would send you all a silver dime.
Exactly. But I do want to remind you guys and take this time. I'm looking for my little thing here, but it looks like I don't know where it is.
You can go get yourself some silver.
Go get yourself some silver or some gold by going to resistancechicks.com.
Silver's on a discount. It should be 15 to 1 according to the Constitution. It's 90 to 1 right now with gold. Super discounted.
Resistancechicks.com/God's Money. Schedule your free consultation call with Zhang Enterprises. You will not be sorry. It is totally free, zero pressure. They just want to answer your questions. And like we always tell you guys, Lynette's mantra of food, shelter, community, barterability,
wealth
preservation. She has the wealth shield. She invented the wealth shield. And they want to be able to help you not just get into gold and silver, but look at what you have and say, okay, what are your goals to be able to withstand the economic collapse that is sure to come? But on the flip side of that, what I love that Lynette has really been getting into a lot recently, she's been speaking to different legislations about getting
sound money
back into certain states. So I mean, it's all the reasons in the world to support Zhang Enterprises. They have a zero minimum, and what I mean by that is their minimum is $1 silver. for a purchase there, which is super amazing, and I love it. So resistancechicks.com/God's Money. Todd, thank you for that little discussion and comparison between which is worth more, the dollar or the dime. I'm going to tell you guys it's the dime. But you know what I find even more depressing is that we are headed in a direction where even the non-silver dimes are going to be worth more than this paper because it's actually, it will be have metal, and metal itself has more value than paper does.
Has a value. All right, the BBC is facing potential terror probe after admitting to paying a Hamas family for a Gaza documentary. The investigation found last month that one of the subjects for the BBC Gaza How to Survive a War Zone documentary, a 14-year-old Abdullah al-Yazori, was not an average resident of the Palestinian territory, but rather a member of the Hamas royalty and the son of Hamas agricultural minister, Dr. Ayman al-Yazori, who himself is related to one of the founding members of the terrorist group. This week, the BBC admitted to paying to al-Yazori's family through the production company behind the documentary, Hoyo Films, prompting calls for an investigation to determine whether public funds were given to the family members of a proscribed terror group.
Oh my
On
gosh.
Friday, a spokesman for the Met Police told the Daily Mail, "We're aware of the BBC documentary about Gaza and we received a number of reports raising concerns. Officers from the Met's Counterterrorism Command are currently assessing whether any police action is required." Oh my gosh. This is absolutely, crazy. They're trying to put somebody in a good guy light for the documentary, but they're bringing in the son of one of these big Hamas
terrorists.
Wow. They also want, here's the green reset, eat less meat to meet green goals. That's the UK climate minister. Again, eating less meat. They want to reach net zero. Despite the UK accounting for less than 1% of global emissions, they really truly believe that we are absolutely not saying everybody needs to go vegan, but we do expect to see a shift in dietary habits.
Stop it. Just full stop. Okay, I want to tell y'all something. One of the most important things that you can eat is meat. Protein. Meat and protein. Your body needs protein. The little body health guy that I listen to all the time, he's got that 30-30-30. You need 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking and followed by 30 minutes of exercise. He says if you do that, you will never be the same. I'm telling you guys, the reason why you can't lose weight is because you're not getting your protein first thing in the morning, right? Meat is what God gave us. God gave us meat.
I don't want to tell you guys that we are in the season when you get a lot of eggs. And so we have so many eggs. And so we
got eggs coming on our egg production.
We are making lots of
We've been eating eggs. You eat the eggs, you hard boil the eggs, you fry the eggs, it's extraordinary. It's excellent. Mm-hmm. It's exceptional. I know there's a couple more I can come up with. I'm trying to tell you guys, this whole don't eat meat stuff, it has nothing to do with saving the planet, and it has 100% to do with making you ill and unhealthy. Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do.
Yeah. Vance was right. Praying at home could be a crime depending on who passes the window, says a Scottish MP. The author of Scotland's draconian protest restrictions around abortion clinics has admitted that people who live within the anti-free speech zone could be committing an offense if they pray in their own homes, depending on who passes the window. British legacy media and establishment politicians were quick to accuse the U.S. vice president of spreading misinformation after he asserted at a Munich security conference earlier this month that people could be arrested for praying in their homes if they live within 656 feet, a protest prohibition zone surrounding abortion clinics in Scotland. However, in an interview with the BBC Scotland's Scotcast podcast, the legislation's author, Gillian Mackay, appeared to confirm Vance's warnings. Despite having initially branded the vice president's comments as nonsense and shocking and shameless misinformation, the leftist lawmaker admitted that prayer within a home could fall afoul of the law. Asked whether someone was seen visibly praying at their window within the exclusion zone was committing an offense, the member of Scottish Parliament said that then depends on who's passing by the window.
Not so much that the police passing by the window, but like, let's say a person that's going to get an abortion.
What about the accusation that even private prayer within your own home could amount to breaking the law? I mean, it's stretching it, but it's not wrong, is it?
It's absolute nonsense.
Is it? I'm looking at a letter that the government sent to householders.
Nowhere in it does it
inside
say
zones.
private prayer.
No, but what it does say is that the activities in a private place, like a house, in these zones could be an offence if they can be seen or heard within the zone and are done intentionally or recklessly. Now, if you're telling me that prayer can be an offence outside a clinic, if you're inside your own house in that zone, theoretically, the law could be applied to you, couldn't it? I'm just trying to work out if there's any way in which J.D. Vance could be right.
I should be really clear. Praying in of itself is not an offence under this bill. We are not banning prayer under the Act.
Performative prayer. If you're standing at a window with your hands together in front of your face in that classic kind of, you know, that classic image of prayer. If you're standing at a window so people can see you, then could it be interpreted as an offence?
That then depends on who's passing the window and whether anybody
so he's not
can
wrong, is he, J.D. Vance?
No,
he's not wrong.
He is wrong because if I don't know anyone that can pray loudly or performatively enough to be seen from outside their own house.
Are
you
never
kidding me?
heard Michelle and I pray?
Sometimes the neighbors
The
be like,
whole neighborhood be hearing us pray. I pray outside my home. I pray on a walk.
I'm
I pray
opening the
wherever I
daggum
go.
window. Like, okay, so let's say you open the window and you're standing there and you be like, Lord Jesus, I just thank you. You be shouting it like, I just thank you so much. That
You ain't got
that
no Pentecostals in Scotland.
That anybody that feels like they need to commit an abortion, that they will come to know you in a mighty powerful way.
Lord.
And they will not kill that
I
child
bind
inside
and
their
gag
body.
Satan in Jesus'
You
name.
telling me, lady, that that's not going to be arrested? I can guarantee to you, you would arrest them. Oh my gosh, you are lying through your teeth.
Lie, your pants are
Now,
on fire.
You know what the truth is?
What the truth?
I do need to get going, and I do want you to finish the show.
I don't have much.
But I can't trust you to finish the show and announce what I need to announce.
Okay.
Which is your birthday is in 9 days. It's on March 11th.
See, it's my
If anybody wants to send a card to Leah, P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. I have Leah's birthday's on a Tuesday. I've been looking all this stuff up. I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do for Leah's birthday and the day before her birthday and everything. I got some ideas. So I don't know if we're going to have a healing for the fractured soul that night.
Could
or
we
if we're
have
just
a
going to do like a
nationwide
birthday
electricity collapse?
Stop it. Or if we're going to do like a birthday show, I don't know. Stay tuned for that week, okay? But tomorrow night on Monday, we will be having an Outliers with Rafi Farber. Do not miss it. 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be on all your favorite platforms, Rumble, BitChute. Well, it won't be live on BitChute, but it'll be uploaded later. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, D-Live. Where else are we live right now? Getter. Hi, Getter. Get her done. So super excited about Monday and Leah's birthday. I don't know that I have any other announcements. I don't know if you're going to read this letter from Germany.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go get some doggies that have their legs crossed and go get them taken care of. And I would like to announce, Leah laughed at me when I did this the other day. Wait, you're not ready. You're not ready for this. And this is important to do it right here, right now. Ready? You didn't want me to do it the other day because you didn't like my timing, but it was funny. It was funny timing that I did it. Oh, wait. It's really loud. Hang on. Shh, I'm going to play it again. But I'm gonna lower the volume, okay? Oh, no, it's not loud enough. Okay, we're now shipping from the Resistance Chicks General Store to Canada. You guys have asked. This I just covered up myself. If you want us to ship to your country, just ask us, and we might possibly add your country to our shipping list. I have to add them country by country, okay? So, but right now we are shipping to Canada. I'm not saying the shipping is cheap. Okay. I'm charging you what it literally cost us. Actually, I'm charging you a little bit less than what it would probably charge, but that's not a big deal. However, I was surprised. I probably had about 7 or 8 requests over the past several weeks from people that say, can you ship to Canada? Will you ship to Canada? When will you ship to Canada? And I thought, well, that's pretty significant. I need to make sure that we can do that. Right now we already ship to the UK. but now we can ship. So we ship to the UK and we ship to Canada. If we need to add your country, let me know, and we can add shipping from the Resistance Chicks general store. And I've got some new products that I'm going to be working on, so they should come out in the next month or so.
Dr. Syed Hyder's little care package?
So, so speaking of countries that we can ship to,
I mean, it is a country, but it's a territory of the United States.
It is, but I had to fill out, it's a country in the sense that I have,
it need a customs form?
It needed a customs form and everything. Puerto Rico.
But I thought it was a U.S. region.
Yeah, but still you need a customs form because it's going far. So Dr. Syed Hyder, we may have him on our show soon because he wants to call and talk to Patriot Gallery. And Patriot Gallery wants us to turn it into an interview. So we're going to do that on Thursday. I don't know. It'll be pre-recorded if it's anything. But as a thank you, because he did kind of save Patriot Gallery's life. He was a big part of it, I should say. I wanted to send him some stuff from our store. So I did send him a care package. And on Twitter, he not only did he get it, he got it yesterday. He took a picture of it, and he's tweeted out a lot. He's very active on his Tweedledee. There we are. Look at that. It says, thank you for the lovely care package, at Leah Svensson. Check out their awesome homemade self-care products, all from their own small farm, clean ingredients and beautiful packaging. You can really see the love and attention that went into these. Also, check out their live streams. And then he put a link, Farm Fresh Products, at our shop.resistancechicks.com. And then the link to our website, resistancechicks.com. So you can see there, I sent him 2 aromatherapy eye pillows, a deodorant, one of our Healing for the Soul. I sent him the Rise and Shine tooth polish and the Remineralize Me tooth powder. And then, of course, I sent him a soap. And because he is of the Muslim persuasion, I did not send him our lard-based body butter, but I did send him the Hope the Heifer tallow body butter there. So, and then I sent him our Christmas newsletter, which I probably should post. I don't know that I've ever posted that for you guys before. It was really, really good. I'll make sure that I post that in the email this week. I am going to be putting out an email this week. If you would like to sign up for our emails, go to resistancechicks.com and click on the box on the right-hand side that says join the resistance, and you can sign up to get our emails. Don't spam you, because I hardly have time to send out emails. So if you actually get an email, it should make you feel like the complete opposite, because it took us so long to get the emails up and running, and my life is not conducive to sending them out very often, that when you get one, you should count it as a prize and be like, yay! Because that's how I feel when I do them, because I don't ever get around to doing them. I think the last one was like 3 weeks ago. Okay, I would love to send them weekly. I just don't have the time. So that's my spiel. That's what I got. Thank you, Dr. Hyder. And we may have an interview with him coming up soon. But I'm going to go take care of some doggies. Leah's going to read a letter, and I don't know if you have anything else.
Bring him here, and then we'll take a walk.
I'm gonna let him potty first.
Yeah, you
outside.
better. You better.
You'll know when we get here. You'll hear us approach, because Toby is.
And
am I bringing the other one? Yeah, I'll get them. I'm getting them all. Whoa, maybe I'll get Charlie first. No, he'll cry the whole time. Maybe I might do one at a time.
Go get some and then go.
I
get
might go
one.
get Charlie and then go. Or which one do you think I should get first?
I don't know.
I'll figure it out.
Have fun.
Okay, I love y'all. You guys are amazing.
Have fun. All right, so this is from our friend in Germany. And she's always giving us updates on this doctor who was arrested for giving out like COVID passes. I am a woman from Germany. I did write you before, and you were so kind to mention it on your program. Thanks for your programs. I learned a lot about the Bible. I am kind of a renewed Christian. The USA is still a Christian country. Germany has been secularized. The 2 main churches, Catholic and Protestants, are completely woke. Rainbow flags at churches. They even say that Jesus was queer. It's really that bad. America, the Stars and Stripes America, not the rainbow, is incredibly important for the world, not the foreign policy. I do not approve of that. No, what is important is the idea of America. Those Europeans that fled, those founding fathers, they fled from the then oligarchs. We, the people, are probably the most important words ever written. I have goosebumps. The fact that those founding fathers had God with them, that makes America, even today, a symbol of freedom. I have goosebumps on my face. The First and Second Amendment are critical for mankind. I told you about a woman I do not know personally, but I know that she is desperate. She, Dr. Brigitte Malsack Winkeman, is in prison. What crime did she do? She and her fellows discussed about a patriotic alliance via phone. They did also mention to free children out of cellars, and that is held against them. Did they hurt people? No. Shootings? No. Did they crash houses or cars or things? No. Did they steal? No. They only had a thought crime, if you will. A very well-known court reporter who is completely, utterly mainstream. Think like she is CNN, a darling of the mainstream, even that woman said there is nothing and that it is a farce, a shame. Brigitte had asked at Christmas 2023 to pray for her via a friend of hers. Ever since then, I do that. So if it is appropriate, may I ask for prayer for a request for Dr. Burgett. Sorry. So Father God, I just lift up Dr. Burgett. I pray, Father God, that I guess if she's still in prison, Father God, that it will just be found that she did nothing wrong, that not only will she be released from prison, but all of those who maybe have been caught up in some sort of trap, any sort of entrapment situation, that you would release them, and that those who were just trying to protect their fellow citizens, that you would clear their name. And so I just pray a hedge of protection over Dr. Burgett, that you would bless her, that you would keep her, that you would speak to her, that you would surround her with your angels, and that you would get her out, and she would come to know you in a powerful way. So yes, thank you so much. That is Marion in Germany, and we've gotten, I think, 3 letters from her so far, and I absolutely love the letters. So please, if you are in another country, and if you're from another country, or you've got something that you want to tell us that there's kind of no way for us to know about mainstream media, would you consider writing us? And I'm telling you that because I'm asking you that because emails, they get lost, messages get lost, but when you write a letter, we're going to read the letter. We're not getting thousands of letters. So when you write the letter, we're going to read it. And so it's a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. And be the on-the-ground reporters and let us know what's going on around the world in your neck of the woods. Okay, so Israel said that they are blocking all humanitarian aid to Gaza as ceasefire could collapse. The regional Mideast sources are widely reporting that Israel's military has halted the entry of all humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip at a moment tens of thousands of Palestinians continue returning to their homes, especially in the war-ravaged north. Phase 1 of the fragile ceasefire agreement has ended, but some Israeli hostages still remain captive in the Strip. And there's not as yet a word, and there's yet no word, that the sides have come to an agreement on the Phase 2 part of the plan. Currently, there's talk of simply ending Phase 1, and the guns have remained silent so far. But that may change, given the cessation of food, medicine, and water shipments to the Strip. Both sides continue making threats, and Netanyahu has signaled the air and ground war would soon resume. This is obviously, a very delicate situation because the Israelis are just done after hearing what they did to the babies. The strangling of the babies, and then the mutilating their bodies to make it look like they were killed in an airstrike by Israel, is the most gruesome thing that you can do. I don't think you can do anything lower than strangle a baby with bare hands. And you killed the mother, and you killed the 2 children, and then you sent back one of the wrong body of the mom. And then you tried to lie and say that the babies were harmed in a rocket attack. And then you had to mutilate their bodies to make it look like that, to line up. I don't know what world we're living in. And now, I don't really have much else to talk about. Donald Trump is trying to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is kind of funny because it's just electricity and doesn't amount to anything. Donald Trump has said, I love Bitcoin and Ethereum crypto spikes as Trump discusses strategic reserve ahead of a White House summit. A U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed by the Presidential Working Group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, SOL, and ADA. I will make sure that the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. All three of the altcoins have shot up in price since the post. Many suggest that the term includes the altcoins does not mean excludes Bitcoin or Ethereum. Trump should announce if it elevated, he will buy 2 million Bitcoin and 10 million Ethereum as part of a strategic U.S. crypto reserve. That is actually from Zero Hedge in May. And obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, as other valuable cryptocurrencies, will be the heart of the reserve. I also love Bitcoin. Wait, what is BTC? It's not Bitcoin? I also love Bitcoin. And, oh, no, it is. Yeah, no, that's what it is, BTC. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin had shot up to like 100,000. Then it's been doing a deep dive. And it's very interesting. There's a lot of traders short Ethereum that could feel some serious pain if this comes to pass. And the squeeze has started. U.S. President Trump will host the first White House Crypto Summit on March 7th, bringing together industry leaders to discuss regulatory policies, stablecoin oversight, and the potential role of Bitcoin in the U.S. financial system. They want prominent founders, CEOs, and investors from the crypto industry, along with members of the president's working group on digital assets. Sachs was appointed the White House. David Sachs was appointed the White House Crypto and AI and czar on December 6, 2024, to work a legal framework so that the crypto industry has the clarity it's been asking for and can thrive in the U.S. Part of David Sachs' role will be to safeguard online speech and steer away from big tech bias and censorship. David Sachs has only 2 years to push through the pro-crypto policies before the 2016 midterms. I see this as a CIA op because the CIA has been pushing. They never bring in something with a hammer when they can come in with a honey trap. They want to digitize all assets. They want a digital currency. They want a digital currency. It's easy to control. It's easy to track. It is tracked. They can track your Bitcoin. This is not just walking into the Trojan horse. This is building the Trojan horse and everybody cheering on the Trojan horse. There's no such thing as Bitcoin. It's money created out of thin air. Its value means nothing. It has no value. This has some value. This coin here has some value. And if you look at prices in home prices since 2020, you'll see something. And it's not just home prices, it's car prices, it's everything. Michelle will come in for me when I get really angry about something and I start to not have the words to speak. I am very angry because I think it's because I'm taking this personally, and it's not so much that I'm taking it personally I'm not saying I'm even taking it personally in a good way. I can guarantee you that I haven't gotten the full God answer on this because I'm so mad about it. And I know when I'm mad about something, I'm not fully in the spirit of God. I want to open this up. Oh, please. Here we go. I will accept all of your tracking. Median home price in the U.S. per month looks like 2012 as per year. I don't know why it says per month. So in the median home price in 2012 was $150,000, maybe just a titch more. And it slowly crept up. And in 12 years, it's now $439,000. And I see people, I think I'll bring up that Taylor Kennedy video. I'm going to have to find it though. I see people saying over and over again that young people can't get into the housing market. Young people can't get into the housing market. There's not really supposed to be a housing market, period. But what happened was the Federal Reserve put in trillions and trillions of dollars into the system. And with that trillions and trillions of dollars into the system, it went somewhere. And there are the haves and the had-nots. And I don't know who the people are that are able to afford the homes at $100,000 more than they were at the start of COVID. I don't know where the people are that are affording homes. I understand that 2012 was a crash after, home prices had spiked a decent amount. I'm going to play for you. This is from ITM Trading.
In the birthplace.
Let's see here. Our home prices getting more expensive, and this kind of puts this into. Didn't I play you, Taylor? Hang on. This is a really great breakdown. I'm going to play this for a second. Hang on. You see our watch history. Here we go.
Houses aren't getting more expensive, your dollar is getting weaker. Over the last 50 years, prices of houses in gold has gone down, while in dollars, they've skyrocketed, pricing out an entire generation. But the truth is, houses aren't getting more expensive, you're getting poorer. But it's not your fault. Think about it. You work harder, you take home more money in US dollar terms, yet somehow everything feels further out of reach. But this isn't an accident. It's the design of a debt-fueled system reliant on government overspending. Right now, you're losing 3% of your wealth to inflation, which means at that rate that you will have lost over half of your wealth in the next 20 years. But that's if, and only if, inflation rates stay the same. But history tells us that they won't. In fact, right now, Bank of America is estimating that in the next 6 months, we could see inflation rise back up to 4.3%, meaning the rate at which your wealth is disappearing will accelerate. But what does that mean for your future buying power? Is there any way out? Is this just a housing crisis, or is it actually something much bigger? And most importantly, if your wealth is being eroded this quickly, what action can you take now to protect yourself so that you're set up for the future? Let's get into it. Looking at this chart together, what we are seeing here is a comparison of the median price of a home sale in the United States in USD compared to gold. So essentially, the way I'm looking at this is how much gold does it take to buy the median price of a house in the United States at different points in time? And this only goes to 2020. I will talk about what 2024 looks like. But I thought this was such a great chart because it really clearly shows how prices in gold have actually gone down, but in USD they've skyrocketed. So over here on the left, if we start on the left, right, we have this USD cost $4,300 to buy a home back at 1900, or 6.5 kilograms of gold. Now, if we jump over to 2020, we can see here we have USD $313,000 or 5.8 kilograms of gold. So if you held tangible gold in the 1900s and you held tangible gold in 2020, it actually would take less gold to buy a house. And you have to think about the house that you're buying. Houses have only gotten bigger and more complex. And on average, if we're looking at the median house, chances are you're getting even more bang for your buck for less gold. Whereas if you were buying in fiat currency, well, 4,300 versus 313,000, that is an astronomical difference. But as I mentioned, this chart only goes to 2020, and we know for a fact things have gotten a whole lot worse in the last 5 years as everything has escalated and accelerated. So this chart, 2020, stops at 313. Well, we know today this chart doesn't even go high enough, actually, in the last 5 years. It's sad. I mean, I laugh because I'm uncomfortable. Right now, we know the median home price is $418,000 USD. I mean, think about that. That is absolutely insane. In just 5 years, the median price of a home has jumped $100,000. It's no wonder no one can afford this. Now, as far as gold, I already did the math. I cheated a little bit, but I'm looking at the spot price today, which is just under 3,000. We know there are 32 troy ounces in a kilogram of gold. So when I do the math, it comes out to 4.42 kilograms of gold. So what does that tell us? That tells us that in just 5 years, again, if we look down here, 313,000, if you had USD and you were to buy a house from 2020 to today, it's going to cost you $100K more to buy that house in USD. Or if you had gold, you actually could hold on to 1.4 kilograms of gold and buy the exact same house for less. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So let me ask you again, are the houses getting more expensive, or are the dollars worth that much less? Now, before we move off of this chart, because there's another chart I want to show you, I always think it's important to look at when these changes really start to take place, because history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and it gives us a good clue of what's coming next. Now, over here on the left in the 1900s, right, if we start over here to about 1970, these lines were pretty close together. They were following each other really closely. It's in the 1970s when you really start to see, right, this huge split between prices in dollars and prices in gold. Why would that be?
I directed Secretary Connolly to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
In 1971, the United States delinked the dollar from gold, right? They ended the gold standard completely, and it was during this period of time, from the beginning of the 1970s to the end of the 1970s, that gold actually jumped up over 2,000%, from roughly about $35 an ounce to over $800 an ounce. Why? Well, inflation, right? We had the metaphorical printing press handcuffs were broken, so suddenly we have all of this overspending in the United States. It became clear that the dollar is really not backed by anything. It's all made up, and economic instability and uncertainty led to this rapid decline of the dollar through inflation and a rapid rise in the price of gold as people flocked to a safe haven asset, something they knew would protect their wealth. Any of this sounding familiar? But the truth is, once this happened, we never went back. We never found our way back. All the United States did was continue to print. And even if printing slowed or inflation slowed, wages did not keep up with the rapid decline of the dollar. And this is something that we're going to look at current day. But again, back in 1970, just to give you a frame of reference, the median household income was $8,730. The median house price was $17,000, or roughly 2x your income. Today, just 55 years later, the median household income in the United States is about $80,000, whereas the median house price is $418,000, meaning that it's about 5.25 times your annual income. So in theory, it would take you 2.5 times longer to buy a house, but that's just in theory because it's not even close to the full story. Since 1970, the workforce has changed. We have about 20% more women in the workforce, meaning that when we look at household annual income, it's often now referring to dual income instead of just single income. And on top of that, back in the 1970s, women earned on average 60% less than men, whereas today it's 16% less than men, meaning that you have more people working for more dollars in nominal terms, but somehow being left with less. But that's not all. It's not just housing that's unaffordable. We have groceries, daycare, basic necessities, all skyrocketing in price while income remains stagnant. It is not keeping up with the inflation that we're seeing. And on top of that, this happens at a time when the world as a whole is moving away from community, leaving people isolated and without support systems that in the past would have helped uplift them. So again, the problem isn't that housing has just gotten so expensive, it's that the dollars in our wallet are worth less. Tell me what you think about this in the comments below. Are you familiar with this feeling of working so hard, but somehow being able, what I mean together? This chart shows the gap between productivity, which is essentially how much income is generated for everyone in the economy based off of 1 hour work, and actual pay. Now, in theory, these two lines should be moving together. There shouldn't be a gap because as productivity grows, each hour of work generates more income and living standards should rise for everyone. Now, this was true up until, you guessed it, the 1970s, right? Suddenly, we see the exact same thing start to happen again. There's this gap between productivity and pay, meaning, again, that there's more output happening, there's more economic income happening, yet somehow pay is not keeping up with that. Why? How did this happen? It couldn't be accidental. No, it wasn't. Policies that supported linking pay and productivity were abandoned, and it all comes back to two words: government debt. As the United States government overspent, what happened? Well, wages became stagnant. And all of this happened while the dollar's value was plummeting. Run this. This is why it is.
So somebody, though, is making a lot of money. A lot of money. And it's not you. It's not you. All right. I'm going to end on a lighter note. This is a video of Canada last week getting, come on, 29.5 inches, so 30 inches of snow. Are you kidding? Oh, maybe I just have to, okay, wait here. There we go. Look at that. They had to truck it out. They just had to put it in, and it's not melting. So they just have to truck it out. This is a lot of snow. Look at that. Look at these giant trucks. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're gonna shove this snow to the side, maybe? Whoa, I have done 2 times, so they're not really going that fast. Whoa. Well, it's nice that you have a little hill to push it out to, right? Wow. They got a lot of snow. Oh my. Let's just, don't go too far. Don't go too far. You got to be real particular about that or you're just gone. No, I don't want to do it. No. Like where do you jump it? Over a cliff? No, see, this is not my idea of a good job. I don't want this job. Who's taking that job? Don't take that job. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So these guys are just bringing in these trucks, backing them up. They're almost to the top here. This is what my wheat looks like when I go to bicycle it. It kind of, oh, wow. Wow. That's just a lot of snow. That's a lot of snow. Wow, you just, yep. So Canada got a lot of snow this week. All right, you guys. So that's our show. We're going to go walk some dogs. We love you. God loves you. I don't know if there's any comments here before I sign off. You got to hear my gold and silver rant towards the end, but you really didn't hear any rants yet. You haven't heard any rants. I don't, the words that I have for these people are not, they're not coming right now. I'm so mad at what they have done to us since COVID. COVID was a great wealth transfer. And inflation is designed to steal. It's like a magnet. So they go into your house, they grab your money, and they put it in their house. And if you saw it, and if they were knocking on the door like the conscription in the Ukraine, then you would fight it. But you don't see it. The Doge $5,000 checks, everybody wants one. That would be another grab. It's like they take their hand and they pick it up and they just take, and it's just constantly taking. And there are people who are in the banks and in their friends, their people. There are people who are doing very well right now. And there are people who are stagnant and people can't buy homes and people can't even sell their homes. There's no homes for sale because there's nowhere you can't sell, you can't buy, you can't move. Everybody is stuck. It kind of feels like it's a prison. Bye, Eric. I would like to know how you're doing. I didn't mean to scare you away. Let's see. Oh, Mom's talking about how she almost died twice. She's done exercising. She's done a couple of videos on vitamins and alternative medicine. If you guys want to see the different things that we've put together for what Dr. Hyder's friend has put together for her. Let me just check over Rumble, make sure there's no comments over there, and then we will sign off. Okay. If you don't dump it properly, you can either cave the cliff or you flip the truck. I've done it in a truck. Wow. No. I always complain when my town calls it snow removal. We pay a lot for it. It is plowing. They just push it to the sides of the road and onto our sidewalks. Yeah, I get that. Also, the housing shortage in the UK means that these flats are on the markets for roughly an hour before a queue of people are trying to rent it. It's amazing how many homeless are just displaced because they cannot afford rent. Absolutely. Try getting to the housing market in the UK to rent an apartment, or as we call it, a flat. The rents are £1,000. What is that for 1-bed flats on average? 2 beds, £1,500. I paid, I'm not sure what you were saying. You paid $252,000 for your house. I'm temporarily displaced from my home for repairs. Where I'm renting is almost 3 times what my mortgage, no utilities included, so closer to 4 times. Wow. Yeah, so this is I just have to pray. Guys, I'm praying for a reset. I know that this is unsustainable. I know people are homeless because they can't afford rent, and you could always afford a cheap place to rent growing up. There was always a cheap place to rent where a single mom, we know this, could live in a decent apartment on a wage. We're just working at Kroger. And we did. And you could make it in life. It wasn't the best, but you could make it. You can't make it now. There's nowhere. The rent of some of the dinkiest, horrible places is so high. I don't understand how anybody's making it. Everybody has to live on welfare now. If you're, it's like the poor people do in order to. It's just, it's you can't even get by as a poor person. You are not even allowing people to be poor anymore. To just, get by being not making a lot of money. Like, you've got to be able to only those who buy into the system can make it right now. And so we're praying against this. Let's end in prayer, because that's where I'm at right now, between the Bitcoin and the craziness going on with the Tate brothers, and the people can't just buy a cheap home. I remember when we were when the stock market crashed, they were trying to steal our house. There were homes with an acre or two for $44,000, $50,000, $60,000 around here. Now those were foreclosures, right? But they wanted to put my house on the market for, I think, $80,000 or $90,000. They now have, you can see my property taxes is now $225 is what they're making me pay property taxes on. I'm trying to get comparable prices to lower my property taxes, and the housing prices around the entire country are. I don't understand how people are affording it. I don't know what people are doing. I don't understand how people are even renting. I don't understand how people are. Rent is quadruple what it used to be when we were renting. It's just hard to fathom. And I'm just going to pray. God, I just lift this up to you. I just lift up the world to you. You know the cries of your people, and I just ask you to protect. And I feel like that's what the Lord is saying right now is this is an individual prayer, and I need to start praying for individuals to be able to make it in this system, because the system itself is bad, and it's corrupt, and it's uncontrollable, it's uncontainable. And so, Father God, this system that is eating your people alive, I just pray for all the Christians worldwide, and for those who are coming into the body of Christ, that you would begin to protect them, provide for them. You are their provider. You are our provider. And I just want to speak that over you. And I've been speaking it over myself, because whatever happened, whatever coming down the line, Michelle and I can't raise our prices on our pet sitting business to meet inflation. It's just impossible. Because other people's wages. So what do you do in this situation? You demand justice from heaven. You demand justice from heaven. You demand justice from heaven. People on Social Security, people on a fixed income, people on a retirement income, nothing is going up, but the prices are going up. And I just rebuke, and it's the devourer, it's Satan, to get our eyes off of Jesus. And so tonight, wherever you're at, I just want you to declare with me that God is my provider. I give my life to you. This is a moment in time when we get to live in the realm of faith. And that's what the Lord has been doing for me. And I just want to, I guess I'll end with the word that the Lord's been giving to me. And it's a very personal word, but I believe that if you are watching us, then you're going through the same thing. The Lord is taking me from the faith that I grew up under, which was regular evangelical faith, which was you go to church, you read the Bible, you do Bible studies, you become a good person, you listen to Christian music, and God changes you and he talks to you, and we sing praise and worship. And I grew up under that, and that was the Christianity I grew up under. But the people who were teaching me this were also teaching me to go to work, to get a job, to go to public school, to have 2.5 children, to get the house. And what I was taught, the level of Christianity that I was taught was, yes, you pray to God to fill your needs, and you ask God to fill your needs, but you don't ask God really what to do. You kind of ask his will. You praise him when a miracle comes through. But the way I look at, and I love most of my friends, and I see them, the way I see their view on Christianity is, I have a plan for my life. I have a desire for my life, and I have a way for which I want to go, and it goes with the system. It goes with the current of the world. You don't swim against the current. And as long as you go with the current of the world, and you do the thing, and you go to college, and you get the career, and maybe some of you can be stay-at-home moms, or some of you are going to be working because you can't afford to live in this current. And so you just go along with the current, and then you begin to piece in your belief system of Christianity into the life that you have chosen to live. Rather than, as I've been reading the Bible, we give up our lives
and then we piece in our lives into our faith rather than piecing our faith into our lives. And this is a very stark switch. And I know I've known this, and I've believed my whole life that we give our lives to Jesus, that we ask his will and we seek him first. And I've been doing that my whole life. But I've also had and been trained like a Pavlov's dog into the American Christianity of you are going to do this life. Okay. And even everything that I've taught about homesteading and homeschooling is still within the framework of you're going to get an education, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a career, you're going to get married, and then then you can homestead, and then you're going to do these things. But you have to follow the world's steps first. And you can begin to ask God to come into the steps that the world says that you can follow. Okay, it's that system. And as we begin to pop out of the system over here with the homesteading, as we begin to pop out of the system over here with the gold and silver, it's not lining up and it's not making sense. And so if you guys have seen my brain be a little bit on tilt lately, it's because the Lord has been doing a transfer of the things that I know to a different realm of faith and operating in a completely different realm of faith. And so it's like my brain will compute something the way it used to compute the Christianity that I have been trained under. That particular Christianity, I've been able to operate in that and outside of it just a titch, but it's the ending of the extent of modern evangelical Christianity. It's reached its end. Anything that I had, any belief system that I've had that I've grown up under, that system, it doesn't work now in the world that we live in because we're fighting evil. And the reason why people look to Donald Trump and Kash Patel is because they are outside of the Christian system. If you're inside of the modern Christian evangelical system, you cannot fight evil. And that's why they're asking Donald Trump to fight the evil, but they don't recognize it's because of dispensationalism and the idea that God works with different people in different dispensations. And this is a whole new teaching that the Lord has been speaking to me. It's not a new teaching, but it's new to me. When I'm starting to read how our founding fathers interpreted becoming a Christian and living as a Christian versus how we interpret it, it's grace, but grace alone, grace alone, grace alone. You come and you say a prayer, and then you continue to live your life and then add Christianity into that life. Well, actually, that's how the Jews were living when Jesus came. They were just buying and selling and trading, and they were having, they were going to the weddings. And when Jesus, master's degree in engineering, can I first go and do this? Can I first go and do that? And then I'll follow you. And I'm watching people do that. I'm watching people unwind from that, wishing that they had been able to follow Jesus sooner, and with all their heart and soul and strength. And the American system does not allow you to follow Jesus with all your heart and soul and strength. It takes real faith. You can't just go with the flow and operate in a real Christianity in this world today, because it is a stark difference. You are going completely against the flow, and you have to have faith. And so we're coming to a place, and I'm coming to a place, and I'm getting to a place where the Lord is transferring. My brain is going on tilt so many times when I just, I come on these podcasts and I tell you, you just should homeschool, and you can do this, and you can homestead, and you can do this. And yes, there is, you can bring in the God parts into the system that you've already created. Okay. But we're getting to a place where you can't do that anymore, where you can't just bring a little bit of God into the system that you've already created. At this point, you've got to exit the system. And what I mean by that is it's a spiritual exit from this world system where you're depending completely on God, where your life belongs to Jesus, and you're saying, God, I give you my entire life. What do you have for me today? What am I going to do today? What's our plan today, God? Because this is evil. We're going up against the Tates. We're going up against the Bitcoin. We're going up against these giant things. And we either go along with them and I can't. And I've literally thought to myself, if I don't go along with them, then they are going to swallow us up. That's not true. It's not going to happen. But that is where we're at for most of Christians. And you're waking up and you're asking yourself, how do I get into a place of faith? And you Resistance Chicks viewers, and I'm hoping that I'm going to have to end the show because we got to go walk these dogs, and they're so excited to be here. We are leaving one system, guys. We're leaving this modern evangelical Christianity, and we're going to the real Christianity. And it's going to hurt, and it's going to be painful, and it's not easy because your brain is so used to processing things in a certain way, and you now have to process them on a realm of faith. But I guarantee you, on the other side of it, you're going to meet Jesus. And I have met Jesus at a different level than I have since I had the faith of a child at 4, 5, and 6 years old. And so it's like I'm bringing this Leah over here back to the faith of a child, where God says you have to have faith of a child. You have to have faith of a child. And so we're getting to the place where we need the faith of a child to move mountains. And that's the end of the show.
Amen.
You smell like outside.
Do I smell like outside?
Yeah.
Why is it that outside has a smell? It's fresh.
It is. It's fresh. You smell fresh.
I smell fresh.
All right. I hope some of that made sense.
I think it did. I think everyone loved it. It was
That's
awesome.
your Sunday Bible study.
Chris says, real Christianity is where real joy lives through Christ. Warrior Edge of Time says, if 2 people have 1 child, it's negative growth. Oh, that was back to the 2.5 children, yeah. Okay, I think that's it. We're going to say goodbye.
Yeah, we're saying
Remember,
goodbye.
it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. We'll see you
We
next
love
time.
you.
Right here from resistancechicks.com. Looks like Gitter's already dropping, so that's fine. Gitter already said goodbye. Okay, take care, guys. God bless.